That was the E-Zone with Honeybee and Kareem Boyatings. In the entertainment block on Nationwide 90 FM.
Starting a renovation project? Start right. Start here at H&L Rapid True Value for all your essentials at our 10 stores island-wide. The time by H&L Rapid True Value is
Nationwide time, 5 o'clock.
Crisp and refreshing. Room temperature or chilled. A Pure Water would drink. The temperature by Pure Water is...
It's 26 degrees Celsius here in capital city Kingston. It's 27 out west in Montego Bay.
News at 5 teasers are brought to you by Advanced Scales and Equipment. Service is our total commitment.
From the Nationwide News Network, comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Tawna Thomas.
Nationwide 90 FM. Tracking Beryl.
Hurricane Beryl is now battering sections of the island with significant wind and rain.
About 500 Jamaicans are now in shelters across the island.
But that figure could increase as hurricane conditions intensify.
We're having increased rainfall now, and so I'm sure we might start getting reports of flooding happening in the communities. And once that starts happening, I'm sure more persons will be going into the shelters.
No reports of major incidents associated with Hurricane Beryl.
40% of JPS customers are without power.
In news from the rest of the world, Gaston Brown wants those developed countries responsible for climate change to compensate small island states.
White House says Joe Biden will not back out of the U.S. presidential race.
In headline sports, Kavem Hodge stars for the Windies on opening day of warm-up game in England.
And later in our broadcast,
Nationwide 90 FM. Tracking Beryl.
we'll continue our coverage of Hurricane Beryl. We'll bring you updates from the local authorities. All these and more as we take you home on air on your mobile, Nationwide 90 FM, Nationwide Radio, JM.com, and on the Nationwide app, available on the Google Play and the App Store. This Wednesday afternoon, it's a wet Wednesday, July 3, 2024.
News at 5 teasers were brought to you by Advanced Scales and Equipment. Service is our total commitment.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
And now to the details. Hurricane Beryl is now battering sections of the island with strong winds and heavy rain. The Category 4 storm started impacting the country on Wednesday morning. Dana Davy reports.
The parishes of St. Thomas and Portland were the first to be impacted with severe flooding. In its latest bulletin, the Met Service says Beryl is moving close to the southern coastline. The storm brought with it dangerously high waters and exceptionally high waves, along with average winds of at least 74 miles per hour. Sections of Kingston and St. Andrew, along with St. Catherine, are now being lashed with strong gusts. A hurricane warning remains in effect for the island. Beryl is set to continue influencing weather conditions up to at least early on Thursday morning. At 1 p.m., the center of Hurricane Beryl was located 45 miles south of Kingston. Beryl is moving towards the west-northwest at 18 miles per hour. It's expected to stay this course throughout today, followed by a turn more towards the west tonight or Thursday. The center of Hurricane Beryl is expected to continue moving adjacent to the southern coastline of Jamaica before moving away from the island during the evening. Some weakening is forecast over the next 2 days. However, Beryl is projected to be at or near major hurricane intensity as it continues its passage near Jamaica today and moves near the Cayman Islands tonight or early on Thursday. Dana Davy for Nationwide News.
And 488 Jamaicans are now in shelters across the island. That's according to Acting Director General of the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, ODPEM, Richard Thompson.
8 shelters open in St. Anne, 86 persons in those shelters. In St. Mary, 13 open with 76 persons in those shelters. Trelawney, 4 shelters, 44 persons. Portland, 15 shelters with 161 persons. St. Catherine, 1 shelter, 70 persons. Total 436 persons today.
Mr. Thompson says the figure will increase given the intensity of weather conditions in the past few hours.
Based on what we're seeing outside now with the increase in rainfall activity, the wind gusts, I am sure that we will be seeing more persons coming into the shelters because we're having increased rainfall now in Kingston and St. Andrew, Clarence and St. Catherine. And so I'm sure we might start getting reports of flooding happening in the communities of these parishes. And once that starts happening, I'm sure more persons will be going into the shelters.
Richard Thompson, Acting Director General for ODPEM.
And Prime Minister Andrew Holness has praised ODPEM for its handling of preparations for Hurricane Beryl. Speaking Wednesday afternoon at ODPEM's Command Center in Kingston, the Prime Minister labelled the office's staff as world-class.
I wish to express my gratitude to the team here at the National Operations Command Center. You have made that sacrifice to be here, to be at the helm of Jamaica's disaster coordination. And on behalf of Jamaican people, we say thank you. You have done so far an excellent job. You know, we don't have all the resources that we want. Truth is that we have a very good institution in ODPEM. We have good knowledge. We have good experience. Our officers and personnel are well trained and indeed are world class. Whatever shortage in resources we may have, we compensate in our technical capacities and in our commitment.
The Prime Minister says the government will continue to invest in ODPEM.
The government, in its strategy to mainstream resilience, we are investing in ODPEM, we are investing in our ability to stand up communications, even in disaster, which will increase Jamaica's ability to respond to crisis and recover quickly. So eventually, I think within another 5 to 6 years, we will be at a point where we will have all the latest technology that will help us to be able to truly cover the island, truly get instant updates, and be able to respond quickly. So it is a work in progress, but you would get a very high grade in terms of how I see you have performed, and I'm certain how the rest of Jamaica would see that you have performed.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness.
104 persons were evacuated from Old Harbour Bay, St. Catherine, during Wednesday's passage of Hurricane Beryl. The evacuated persons are now being housed in 2 shelters. The parish disaster coordinator for the parish, Yashika Jathan Thomas, told the media that the plight of the residents triggered the emergency evacuation siren. Old Harbour Bay is one of the communities which has the benefit of an early warning system. The system transmits messages from the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management ODPEM to residents and commuters in vulnerable areas. Meanwhile, the parish coordinator is reporting that roadways in Riversdale and Glengoff have been affected by falling trees and utility poles. The flood control gate at the Bogwalk Gorge is also closed. Communities in the northern section of St. Catherine are also without power. Mrs. Jathan Thomas is urging residents of the parish to heed warnings as they're issued and seek help if they reside in vulnerable communities.
Manager of Communications and Customer Services at the National Works Agency NWA, Stephen Shaw, says roadways across several parishes have been significantly affected by the heavy rainfall associated with Hurricane Beryl.
From early this morning, the Roselle Main Road in St. Thomas was being impacted by storm surges, depositing a lot of debris onto the road. Similar situation around in Portland and Long Bay. We also have had some blockage on the main road from Folly to Fair Prospect. Over there in Portland,
yes.
We have had blockage on the Mandela Highway. We have some impediments out there that's heading towards Central Village. We have issues in St. Mary, some issues as well in St. Anne. The K Valley area has been impassable.
Mr. Shaw says the team remains committed to continue responding to the affected areas in the shortest possible time.
For the most part, the network remains available. Our teams have been able to respond in some of the situations. However, there are others that will require greater degree of safety for us to be able to have our key partners enter into those spaces to go and get people moving once more. But there's a serious commitment on our part to have all the affected areas treated with in the shortest possible time. We have the equipment, we have the manpower, we have the resources, all on standby, and we will treat with each situation when it is appropriate, given that we also have to bear in mind the dangers that are inherent in entering some of those spaces.
Stephen Shaw, Manager of Communications and Customer Services at the NWA.
The Jamaica Public Service Company, JPS, says it has paused the power restoration efforts amid intense weather conditions associated with Hurricane Beryl. Approximately 40% of JPS customers have been without power since the wee hours of Wednesday morning. Director of Corporate Communications at the JPS, Winsome Callum, says that figure is set to climb.
We're looking at about 40% of our customers being out. Just less than an hour ago, we were looking at a little over 10%, but the numbers have gone up. We took some out proactively, as I said, but others went off because of the impact of the winds on the power delivery system. We have quite a few customers out in Kingston and St. Andrew, St. Mary, St. Catherine, St. James, Clarendon, Manchester, and just now we had to take out customers in Portland because of the increased instability on the grid. But we do expect that over the next 2 hours, the things could get worse and some more customers may lose supply.
Ms. Callum says the restoration process will resume once the hurricane passes.
Right now, we have stopped restoration. It's too dangerous for our team, so we've decided to stand down until after the hurricane. Yeah. Now, we know this is not good news for persons who've been without electricity for hours, but for the safety of our teams, we had to make a decision that it's definitely not safe for them to be working in the conditions that we're now experiencing.
Winsome Callum, Director of Corporate Communications at JPS.
The Member of Parliament for West Portland, Beryl, says infrastructure has been damaged in the constituency.
We have had some damage, infrastructure damage, a lot of trees and the power lines down. I've gotten reports of, obviously, roof damage and structural damage to houses, but it could have been much worse. I mean, again, as in Ivan, the Blue Mountains have played a major role in breaking up this hurricane in terms of the outer bands and pushing it south. And we must really give God thanks because, again, as in Ivan, we have been saved by the Blue Mountains. And, of course, God's richest blessings.
Darrell Vaz. Meanwhile, in East Portland, at least 100 people are now being housed at the Manchester Primary School. Shelter manager Sandra Heron says the roadway from the Manchester Police Station to the school is impassable. Ms. Heron says as a result of that, police personnel are now operating from the shelter.
Local Government Minister Desmond McKenzie is encouraging Jamaicans to obey the terms of the island-wide curfew now in effect. The curfew, which took effect at 6 a.m. on Wednesday, is set to end at 6 p.m. During the hours of the curfew, citizens are to remain indoors.
All I can say, some people, if they don't pay the price, they won't have an appreciation for what we're saying. All we are saying to persons is during this period, it is better to be safe than be sorry. And it is not good that you bypass what has been said for your own protection. It is not to keep you as prisoners or to restrict you from making a livelihood. It's to ensure that after the passage of the hurricane is past, that you can continue with your livelihood. And that is all I was saying.
But several vendors set up their stalls at Coronation Market in downtown Kingston in open defiance of the order. Nationwide News visited the market where many vendors were seen selling their wares. One vendor, Joy, told our news team that she would not be leaving the market as it was safer than her home. Minister McKenzie says the attitude of some Jamaicans to curfew orders may cause the government to implement tougher measures in time of looming natural disasters.
The question was asked, are we going to be looking at the mandatory evacuation of persons? Is something that we're going to be seriously have to look at, because at the end of the day, it is government that is going to be blamed if something happens. that are serious consequences on the country. And again, we are not yet out of the woods. This is just the beginning of the hurricane season. And that is going to be one of the focal points of discussions that we're going to be having in our assessment as to how we're going to treat that situation going forward.
Desmond McKenzie, Minister of Local Government.
You're listening to the news on Nationwide at 5. We'll have more after these.
Value Drug Pharmacy offers curbside pickup and delivery of your branded and generic drugs. WhatsApp your prescription to 876-881-6695. The time by Value Drug Pharmacy is
5:15.
Rent-to-Kill Initial offers air purification solutions with triple filtration and unique auto-sensing capabilities that neutralizes malodor and replaces it with clean air. Call Rent-to-Kill Initial at 926-4236 for more details.
The temperature by Rent-to-Kill is
still 26 degrees Celsius here in Kingston. It's 27 out west in Montego Bay.
The Jamaica Customs Agency is advising that the safety of our staff, customers, and other stakeholders remains our priority as we encounter the weather system, Beryl. We urge you to keep abreast on the latest advisories issued by the relevant government authority and encourage you to stay tuned to this station for updates from the JCA regarding our operations at the sea and airports and our head and corporate offices. You may also follow us on YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook at Jamaica Customs Agency and at X at Jamaica Customs for official customs-related information. Your safety and ours remains a priority. Jamaica Customs, keeping our customers in focus.
You can still go through quicker and cheaper with a T-tag under the new toll rate structure. Effective July 6, there will be some changes to the toll rates at the Portmore, Spanish Town, Vineyards and Maypen toll plazas. But don't worry, with a T-tag, all Class 1 and Class 2 customers will enjoy discounted rates for every single passage. Plus, your 10th weekly trip through the same toll plaza is free. Visit transjamhighways.com for details. Get your T-tag today from any Highway 2000 East-West manual toll booth.
This is a health advisory for persons with chronic illnesses from the Ministry of Health and Wellness. As Jamaica continues to prepare for inclement weather associated with Hurricane Beryl, the Ministry of Health and Wellness is advising persons with chronic illnesses such as diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, and asthma to ensure that you have adequate supply of medication. If you must evacuate your homes, ensure that you take your medications with you to the place of shelter and continue to take them as prescribed by your doctor while away from home. That was a health advisory for persons with chronic illnesses from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Continuing the news, head of the JCF's Corporate Communications Network, CCN, Senior Superintendent Stephanie Lindsay, says there's been general compliance from motorists with the 12-hour island-wide curfew currently in effect. The curfew, which began at 6 a.m., is set to end at 6 this evening. The measure was announced by Prime Minister Holness on Tuesday. SSP Lindsay says some motorists who were stopped by the police on Wednesday indicated that they were unaware of the measure.
For the most part, we found in the early part of the morning, a lot of persons tried to be out. Some of them claimed they weren't aware that a curfew was declared by the Honorable Prime Minister last evening. So we have been doing the sensitization. So as the day progresses, we see a better compliance. You still have those one and two wayward persons who will try to break the rule of law. But for the most part, people are adhering to the provisions of the curfew.
The Prime Minister declared Jamaica a disaster area for the next 7 days ahead of the impact of Hurricane Beryl. The declaration will remain valid until July 10. During the curfew, all Jamaicans are required to remain at a place of residence except for those authorized to move about. SSP Lindsay says some motorists were attempting to make a last-minute dash for supplies ahead of Beryl's arrival.
For the most part, we are not arresting. We give them the benefit of the doubt that they weren't aware. Not everybody needs to use. We send them in. Some persons were saying that they were trying to get stuff because they wanted to purchase things. But the places that they would purchase from, those are places that are not open. Supermarkets and those places remain closed until the curfew is lifted. So you really don't want to have persons out on the street.
That's SSP Stephanie Lindsay, head of the JCF's Corporate Communications Network.
Meanwhile, SSB Lindsay says so far there have been no reports of major incidents associated with Hurricane Beryl.
Nothing major what we have been getting, especially in the usual places. We have had reports of flooding. We have had reports of a few roads being blocked by falling trees. There was in one area we got a report of land slippage that led to the road being impassable. We know that the Bogwalk Gorge that's closed because of the rising water. There was an area on the St. Thomas Main Road, the Orly Crossing. That section, we don't want persons to venture there because it is dangerous to do so. And we have had a few reports from places in St. Thomas, places in Westmoreland, but most of those incidents are matters that people stay home, they won't get in trouble with that.
SSB Lindsay says police personnel have been deployed to respond to emergencies and ensure strict adherence to curfew orders.
They're all over. They're everywhere. So, you have a set that is focusing on public order, ensuring that people stay home, stay off the street, and they don't have the kind of disorder. There's a team that, to the extent that they can, because at some point, the hurricane gets very serious, and we have to down all our assets and allow the storm to pass. So we have persons everywhere. We have communication is important. So we have our Gold Command Center with the commissioner of the I Command. Then we have the Silver Command Chair, where we have another set of persons who are monitoring, getting all the information and pushing it to us. We can push out, and they are working in collaboration with our Police Emergency Control Center. So all those are activated, and we are getting the reports from our police officers out there.
SSB Stephanie Lindsay, head of the JCF's Corporate Communications Network.
Sections of the roof at the Norman Manley International Airport in Kingston have been damaged by strong winds associated with Hurricane Beryl. The airport was closed at midnight. Video footage seen by our news center shows fierce winds lifting a section of the roof of the departure lounge. Transport Minister Daryl Vaz says the operators should submit a plan to facilitate travelers even as they repair the damage.
The damage is peripheral in relation to the gates for incoming and outgoing flights, and I'm expecting them to provide me with an alternative plan to allow for flights to be able to land and depart as soon as the airport can be reopened based on the weather conditions. So I expect that plan to come, and as I said, I don't expect any dislocation in terms of flights to be able to arrive and depart while they take care of the damage in relation to that particular part of the airport.
Daryl Vaz, the Transport Minister, he was speaking with Nationwide News this afternoon. Minister Vaz says there have been no reports of damage at the Sangster International Airport in Montego Bay, St. James.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
The World in a Minute.
In regional news, the Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, Gaston Brown, says countries that contribute to climate change must compensate small island states, SIDS, that are suffering the effects of climate change. He was reacting to the devastation caused in Grenada and St. Vincent and the Grenadines on Monday by Hurricane Beryl.
I'm told that the damage is in the region of hundreds of millions of dollars. It means, therefore, that the recovery efforts will be a very daunting one based on the amount of resources, financial resources that will have to be mobilized in order to rebuild, those two countries. And that is one of the challenges that we are faced with in the region, in which we have to borrow repeatedly to repair damaged infrastructure from these climate events. Evidently, climate remains a very significant threat, existential threat to all of us here in the Caribbean region. And that is why we continue to fight in the international fora to have these large polluters reduce their emissions so that, we'll not be faced with these frequent and ferocious storms that have been literally decimating lives and livelihoods within the Caribbean.
Prime Minister Brown says developed countries need to compensate SIDS by establishing a loss and damage fund in the aftermath of natural disasters caused by climate change.
It's happening, not certainly with the frequency and intensity in which we would like. I mean, one of the issues that we've been promoting and advocating is the establishment of a loss and damage fund. We've made some progress, and we're hoping that at the next COP in Azerbaijan in November of this year, that we'll get them to capitalize and operationalize this fund, because countries in the Caribbean, for sure, and our small island states globally, would want to be in a position that whenever we have these devastating impacts from these storms, that there be a fund that we can call upon to get resources. I mean, generally speaking, when you have to organize a pledging conference, it takes weeks and months, sometimes years, even to get these pledges materialized. So we believe that the Loss and Damage Fund is a form of climate justice that is required to compensate small island states and to help them with immediate funding in the aftermath of these disasters.
Gaston Brown, Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda.
In international news, President Joe Biden and his team are still in damage control mode nearly a week after a disastrous debate performance sparked fears among Democrats that his age and mental acuity could make re-election impossible. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre told reporters at a heated press conference on Wednesday that Biden is clear-eyed and is staying in the race. Biden's campaign and White House leadership teams called meetings and sent internal memos to staff as questions continue to swirl about his political future. The White House Chief of Staff held an all-staff call on Wednesday to quell fears and boost morale. Biden joined a campaign call on Wednesday to assure staff. He reportedly told them that, quote, "I'm in this race to the end and we're going to win."
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour, Hurricane Beryl is now battering sections of the island with significant wind and rain.
About 500 Jamaicans are now in shelters across the island.
But that figure could increase as hurricane conditions intensify.
And over 100 persons were evacuated from Old Harbour Bay, St. Catherine.
I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Tana Thomas.
You can find the news on our website at nationwideradiojm.com and on the Nationwide app available on the Google Play and the App Store. News next, the headlines at 6.
Feeling stuck in endless paperwork to secure a small business loan from a bank? Access Financial Services can unlock your growth with an SME loan. Borrow up to $20 million with easy requirements and fast approvals. Whether you are ready to boost productive capacity, get working capital, or acquire real estate, say goodbye to the hassle and hello to growth. Grow your business with an SME loan up to $20 million from Access Financial Services. Call 876-929-9253 or visit accessfinanceonline.com. Conditions apply.
You can still go through quicker and cheaper with a T-tag under the new toll rate structure. Effective July 6, there will be some changes to the toll rates at the Portmore, Spanish Town, Vineyards and Maypen toll plazas. But don't worry, with a T-tag, all Class 1 and Class 2 customers will enjoy discounted rates for every single passage. Plus, your 10th weekly trip through the same toll plaza is free. Visit transjamhighways.com for details. Get your T-tag today from any Highway 2000 East-West manual toll booth.
Time now for sports. The West Indies were bowled out for 339 by a first-class County 11 on day one of their three-day tour game at Beckenham in England. Kavem Hodge led the Windies batting with 112 off 128 balls. The innings comprised 14 fours and 2 sixes. Hodge put on 116 with Mikael Lewis, who made 50. Jamaica's Kirk McKenzie weighed in with 73 and Alec Athanaze 74. At stumps, the first-class County 11 reached 15 without loss. This is the only warm-up game for the Windies before they face England in the first test at Lord's starting July 10. Meanwhile, key bowlers Gudakesh Moti and Shamar Joseph missed the game after their flight from Guyana was delayed due to the unstable weather conditions in the region. Moti was able to land in London just before the start of play, while Joseph is due to arrive on Friday. There's still uncertainty over the start to the West Indies Rising Stars Under-19 men's and women's competitions in Trinidad and Tobago and St. Vincent and the Grenadines respectively. Organisers are forced to shelve plans to start the tournaments this week. Azim Bazarath, the president of the Trinidad and Tobago Cricket Board, says travel in the region has been compromised by the passage of Hurricane Beryl. He says there's little option but to delay the start of the competitions. To football now, and the Copa America is on a break, but action resumes on Thursday with quarter-final games. Defending champions Argentina will battle Ecuador in the first quarter-final in Houston. CONCACAF representatives Canada will square off with Venezuela in quarter-final 2 on Friday in Texas. And on Saturday, Colombia face Panama in Glendale, Arizona, and Uruguay tackle Brazil in Las Vegas. Still with football, European football's governing body UEFA have launched an investigation into Turkey defender Mehdi Demiral. Demiral is alleged to have made an ultranationalist salute during his team's round of 16 win over Austria at Euro 2024 in Germany on Tuesday. The 26-year-old scored twice for Turkey, who booked their place in the quarterfinals. Demiral celebrated his second goal with a wolf salute gesture associated with the far-right extremist group Grey Wolves that are linked with Turkey's ruling coalition party, the National Movement. Demiral said the salute, which is banned in France and Austria, was pre-planned in case he scored. And it's now time for the Nationwide Olympic Fact, sponsored by Rainforest Caribbean.
This is Nationwide's Olympic Facts, brought to you by Rainforest Caribbean. Make delicious moments.
Did you know that Jamaica is the only country to have athletes finishing first, second, and second in a final at the Olympic Games? Yes, that's a fact. Jamaican athletes finished 1-2-2 in the women's 100 meters final at the 2008 Beijing Olympics. Shelley-Ann Fraser-Price took gold in 10.78 seconds, and Sharon Simpson and Karen Stewart both finished second with identical times of 10.98 seconds.
That was Nationwide's Olympic Facts, brought to you by Rainforest Caribbean. Make delicious moments.
That's the sports.
You know, so through the new social housing program, the government has already given houses to hundreds of poor Jamaicans and will give over 1,500 more houses to Jamaicans in need. We are building Jamaica.
The temperature by the office of the Prime Minister is
26 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 27 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay.
Urgent closure notice. Sherwin-Williams wishes to inform you that due to the approaching Hurricane Beryl, all their stores will be closed at 1 p.m. on July 2, 2024. They apologize for any inconvenience this may cause and will keep you updated on their reopening status. We urge you to stay safe and follow all weather alerts and instructions from local authorities.
Did you know that many of my schoolmates have an unhealthy diet, especially at school? And now 23% of them are overweight and or obese? And so one less sugary drink at my school may mean one friend less,
or 2 or 3,
at risk of cavities or diabetes. And if we're served less foods high in saturated fats, sugar and sodium, it may reduce our risk from obesity, heart disease and high blood pressure. The solution is simple, right? Act now. Let's get unhealthy foods and beverages out of our schools.
A message from the Heart Foundation of Jamaica and partners.
The Office of the Information Commissioner, OIC, is Jamaica's data protection regulator. We're here to ensure large and small, public and private data controllers comply with the Data Protection Act. All data controllers must register with the OIC and process personal data in accordance with the law. Help us create a data-safe society for all. For more information, call us at 876-929-6952. Visit our website at oic.gov.jm. The OIC, your data, your rights protected.
The Jamaica Customs Agency is advising that the safety of our staff, customers, and other stakeholders remains our priority as we encounter the weather system, Beryl. We urge you to keep abreast on the latest advisories issued by the relevant government authority and encourage you to stay tuned to this station for updates from the JCA regarding our operations at the sea and airports and our head and corporate offices. You may also follow us on YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook at at Jamaica Customs Agency and at X at Jamaica Customs for official customs-related information. Your safety and ours remains a priority. Jamaica Customs, keeping our customers in focus.
Feeling stuck in endless paperwork to secure a small business loan from a bank? Access Financial Services can unlock your growth with an SME loan. Borrow up to $20 million with easy requirements and fast approvals. Whether you are ready to boost productive capacity, get working capital, or acquire real estate, say goodbye to the hassle and hello to growth. Grow your business with an SME loan up to $20 million from Access Financial Services. Call 876-929-9253 or visit accessfinanceonline.com. Conditions apply.
Do you have a consumer-related issue? Want to learn more about matters concerning you as a consumer? Well, keep it locked to Nationwide 90 FM for the Consumer Hour with me, Nora Gay Banton. Weekdays from 9 to 10 a.m. For all your consumer-centric matters, stay tuned to the Consumer Hour on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
Attention all data protection enthusiasts. Tune in to Nationwide 90 FM every Tuesday at 8:20 a.m. and Thursday at 8:25 a.m. for a new program, Data Protection Matters. Starting June 4, 2024, join us as we delve into crucial topics that will keep you informed and compliant. Data Protection Matters is hosted by Chuck Cameron, founder of Design Privacy, your trusted partner in data protection. Don't miss out. That's every Tuesday morning at 8:20 and every Thursday at 8:25 a.m. Stay protected, stay informed with Nationwide 90 FM and Design Privacy.
Hi there. Here's some good news for these trying times. Quote, "By God's word, I can see where I'm going. They throw a beam of light on my dark path." Unquote. Psalm 119, verse 105. Listen for God's Word weekdays at 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. through
Oasis. Stop by for a refreshing drink and share a God perspective for the day.
Oasis. Weekdays 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. right here on Nationwide, a revolution in media.
The rebroadcast of The Oasis can be heard weekdays at 5:45 a.m.
The Oasis is brought to you by Solar Tech Jamaica. We use the gift of the sun to power our world.
Experience Jamaica's Olympic triumphs in Jamaica Gold, a golden spotlight.
Brought to you by Petrojam E1087 gas promotion, serving Jamaica's energy needs.
Usain Bolt won his second gold medal of the Beijing Olympics and Jamaica's 10th overall when he ran a world record of 19.30 seconds to win the men's 200 meters final.
You just experienced a Jamaican Olympic triumph in Jamaica Gold, a golden spotlight.
Brought to you by Petrojam E1087 gas promotion, serving Jamaica's energy needs.
Looking to rent a fully operational production studio? Then Nationwide 90 FM has got you covered. We have flexible options to meet your recording needs any day of the week. Monday to Fridays, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Saturdays and Sundays available upon request. Bookings must be made in advance. Call us today at 630-1210. Let us help you reach your production desires.
Cover Story is brought to you by Hyundai. Modern, premium, affordable vehicles.
Nationwide 90 FM. Tracking Beryl.
Good afternoon. It's 22 minutes going up to 6 o'clock. This is another special edition of Nationwide at 5 as we continue to track what is still a Category 4 hurricane, Beryl. And it seems, based on the very latest from the Meteorological Service issued at 5 this afternoon, that we have dodged a bullet. A bullet by the name of Beryl. Yes, because Beryl at this moment, yes, will not be passing directly over Jamaica, but close enough to give us a scare. That is what is emerging at this moment. The hurricane warning for the island remains in effect, says the Meteorological Service. The hurricane, according to the Met Service, still has the capacity to produce dangerously high water or a combination of dangerously high water and exceptionally high waves, and average wind speed of at least 74 miles per hour. It is now at 5 this afternoon, 40 minutes ago, located near latitude 17.5 degrees north or longitude 77.6 degrees west. In effect, about 25 miles south of Alligator Pond. Yes, it is now off the southern coast of Jamaica, Alligator Pond, or 72 miles east-southeast of Negril Point in Jamaica. It is moving toward the west-northwest at 20 miles per hour. Yes? And based on this track, it's not likely to pass directly over Jamaica, but it's close to Jamaica. According to the Met Service, this general motion should continue through this evening, followed by a turn more toward the west tonight or tomorrow, Thursday, meaning it will not be passing directly over Jamaica. It is now heading to the Central America coastline of the Yucatan Peninsula, where Belize and Mexico are. Yes? The center of Hurricane Beryl is expected to continue moving adjacent to the southern coastline of Jamaica this evening and moving away from the island later. So the people of southern Jamaica, the people of southern Manchester, southern Clarendon, southern St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, yes, they will now be feeling what we in the East have been feeling since early this morning. Yes? So the people of Rocky Point, who were told earlier today by Councillor Winston Mirage of the Rocky Point Division that they were refusing to budge. Please, it's now your turn, yeah, to feel the hand of Beryl. According to the Met Service, at 5 this afternoon, maximum sustained winds decreased to about 140 miles per hour with higher gusts. And Beryl, as I said, remains a Category 4 hurricane on the Saffir-Simpson scale. The other good news is that some weakening, according to the Met Service, is forecast during the next day or two, and Beryl is forecast to be at or near major hurricane intensity as its hurricane force winds extend outward from its core, from the eye, of up to 45 miles or 75 kilometers. Yes? Now, rain now, it is producing a lot of rain. Yes, a lot of rain. Rainfall associated with the core of the hurricane will continue to spread across the entire island for several more hours. Several more hours. Yeah, that's a word from the Met Service. The Met Service is also advising us that accumulations of between 4 and 8 inches of rain are expected today. That's a lot of rain, right? So bear that in mind. We will continue to get a lot more rain. Strong winds reaching near hurricane force are expected over sections of mainly southern parishes. That's your Manchester, your Clarendon, your St. Elizabeth, yes? Mainly today into tomorrow, right? So that's the latest at 5 o'clock from the Met Service on Hurricane Beryl. We're going to take a break now and come back with Rohan Brown of the Weather Branch of the Met Service, and we're going to be hearing from a couple of the mayors who've been on the road today, the chairman of the Hanover Municipal Corporation, Sheridan Samuels, and chairman of the KSAC, Mayor Andrew Swaby. That's after the break.
Don't compromise on water storage. Choose Rhino water tanks, Jamaica's top pick for over 25 years. Built strong. Purchase a water harvester for an additional water supply. Rhino water tank, Jamaica's choice.
Me know me did a clown you about getting hurricane ready and everything. But yesterday, my member said the last hurricane we come, we did have a whole heap of problem because we never prepare or listen to your safety advice.
It's a shame, sir, so you have to learn your lesson. But 3 things you can do this time is 1. Have a licensed electrician, check the wiring to ensure them fine. 2. Trim trees near power lines and remove danger trees that could fall on lines. But call JPS if your tree is already touching the power lines, okay? And 3. Make sure that everybody know where the circuit breaker is in case you don't need to turn off the power.
Alright. Me go try do them here this time. And me will stay inside if one come. Me member say one zinc flyer almost chop me last hurricane.
Yes, and turn off and plug out all electronics and appliances, especially if there is lightning.
Me go deal with it, man.
JPS, powering what matters.
"14 minutes going up to 6 o'clock. So we're now going to be joined by the head of the weather branch at the Meteorological Service, Rohan Brown. Good afternoon, Mr. Brown.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm good, and I'm dry. You?
Both wet and dry.
All right, so it seems like we dodged a direct hit from Beryl.
That is correct. As it is, the eye itself remained offshore the south coast for the most part, but even though we did not get a landfall, we get what is called a hit, because the eye wall, that area of maximum
We got what is
impact,
called what?
a hit.
A hit.
A hit, right.
Yes.
So you have what is called a landfall, and you have what is called a hit, right?
Mhm.
So we would have gotten that area of maximum impact, that eye wall area would have moved along southern parishes, and as such, that is what is occurring even as we speak now.
Yes, and mainly from its present location and given its size, yes, it's the southern parishes, the people of the southern parishes who are going to be getting that hit for the next several hours.
That is correct. So for the next 6 to about 12 hours or so, as the system moves towards, because the system currently is south of Alligator Pond in terms of the eye itself.
Mhm.
But it is broad enough, and therefore from all along the south coast, we'll be having impacts continuing probably to the next 6 to 12 hours, and therefore the strong winds, the storm surges, the rainfall.
We understand, Rohan. You're at
Sorry
the
about
office. You're at the office working.
Yes.
Go ahead.
All right. Sorry about that. So I was saying that for the next 6 to 12 hours, could you give me 30 seconds?
All right, we're going to give you 30 seconds. 30 seconds a long time. It's 12 minutes going up to 6. We're speaking with the head of the weather branch at the Met Service, Rohan Brown. And what he was saying essentially is that the people, as I said, people of Alligator Pond, southern Manchester, southern Clarendon, southern St. Elizabeth, are going to be feeling for the next several hours the effects of Beryl. Yes, that is what he was saying. 30 seconds up now, Rohan. Are you back?
Yeah, that is correct.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, the rainfall accumulation right across the south coast could go anywhere from 100 to 200 millimeters of rainfall. So we'll be getting the rainfall. You'll be having strong gusty winds. They might not be hurricane force, and some might be the lower end of a storm force, but we will still be getting gusty winds. I'm sure people are talking about the wind damage that has been affecting sections of the island. And of course, the storm surges. Those are critical impacts that we need to continue to monitor.
Yes.
And nobody should be going out to peep out or going on the road now at this point in time. You should be anchored down, battered down, listening to programs like yours and getting the accurate information so you can remain safe and protect yourself.
Very well. And then it is expected to start drifting away from Jamaica when?
That is correct. So before we called, we were doing some analysis in terms of movement, in terms of the two things. We're looking at the movement in terms of the eye, but we're also looking in terms of the movement of the size of the system. So even though the eye might be west of Jamaica, we still will be having some lingering showers and strong gusty winds because it is such a large system. And therefore, we are said probably the next 6 to 12 hours. So that will take you probably early tomorrow morning into mid-morning. Some sections will still be having rainfall and some gusty wind. And again, as we move away from the island, gradual improvement would start again from in the east and continue through to the west.
Okay. And it's now heading to?
The Cayman Islands.
Oh.
Cayman Islands. And of course, you know Cayman. I need to say anything more.
Yes.
So our prayers are also with them.
All right.
As they are expecting a category 4.
All right. Thank you very much, Rohan Brown, head of the weather branch of the Meteorological Service of Jamaica.
You're welcome, sir. And together we'll get through this one, you know.
I think so.
Okay, sir.
And I want to commend you and your staff at the Meteorological Service, Mr. Brown. Keep up the work. Very important job.
Especially those who are at the Met Center out by the airport. Kudos to them.
And why do you single them out at the airport?
Okay, so because of continuity, the different individuals at different places, so to speak. So we're at 3 different locations coordinating, but they're out by the airport. Sometimes the road to the airport might be blocked and so forth, but they are out there, so to speak, on their own, right? While the other 2 entities might be elsewhere.
Okay.
So that is how we operate in times like these, so that if one entity cannot function, we have continuity.
Okay.
Say kudos to them.
Yes.
Because they are out there in it, so to speak.
All right. And all the best to all of you. Thank you very much, Rohan.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Good. So there you have it. We're going to turn now to the Mayor of Kingston and St. Andrew, Chairman of the KSAMC, Andrew Swaby. Good afternoon, Mayor Swaby.
Good afternoon, Cliff.
Good. The worst has passed, hasn't it?
You're coming across a bit low.
I'm putting to you, would you agree the worst has passed for your city?
Well, honestly, Cliff, I don't know you because the fact that I'm not too zeroing on the weather part because I have to deal with issues on the road. So you are informing me that the worst has passed.
Yes. It is now south of Alligator Pond in Manchester, southern Manchester, and it is going to continue to drift away. However, we will continue to get heavy rains, yes, for some time to come, several more hours. And that's where the real danger is now, flooding, yes, in certain areas. But in terms of the wind, that particular threat has eased.
Okay, all right. Thanks for that information. I'm happy that we're just worrying about not only persons in Kingston, St. Andrew, but the entire country.
Yes, yes. Well, I was hearing on your city, your patch.
Yeah.
What can you tell us at 5:53 this afternoon, Mayor Swaby? How did your city fare?
Well, in terms of the shelter, the last image I got, which was about 4:45, we had 33 shelters that have been recorded on our system open with about 267 persons in it. I'm told also that there's a lot of roofs that have been going on in the Stonehill area. That's so near to you, Cliff.
Yeah.
I tell you. But there are several blocked roads. And I'm also told that the Norman Manley International Airport, they are part of the terminal building, that roof have gone also.
Where is that?
Norman Manley Airport.
Oh, yes, a part of the roof, yes.
Part of the roof have gone also.
Uh-huh.
I know I've got a report that somewhere up in Land Lease, you had a tree on a house and 2 persons or 3 persons were trapped in it. I made a call. The last thing I heard was that the fire brigade is from York Park is on their way to that location. That was about 2.5 hours ago.
Mm-hmm.
So we have been getting those things that we have been trying because our command center is still open, will be open, I will try to continue to be responsive as best as possible.
Mm-hmm. So apart from some roofs going, people in shelters, how many people are in your shelters, do you know?
The two up to 4:45 is 267 I got.
And that would be 267 of about 500 across the island. That's the number that ODPEM gave us. Yes? Yeah. And nothing adverse in Port Royal or Bull Bay?
No, well, I think the road is blocked. Nothing adverse there. Not that piece of road to Port Royal is blocked now. I literally, when I was coming over, and I stopped by, there are 2 sections, and the person tells me they always come over.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm told that's impossible now. I haven't had any report. I don't really have a number because I know the councillor who lives in Port Royal. She has left the area from yesterday.
Uh-huh.
She was back there with me today, and I know she left when I left. So I haven't heard anything going on over there yet.
All right. Let me bring in the mayor of Mandeville, Donovan Mitchell. Yes, your town, your people should now be feeling the brunt of the winds and the rains associated with Beryl. What's happening there?
Well, in Manchester at this time, we have had really the brunt of what is happening. I can tell you that the Carpet College auditorium sections of the roof is off. Our shelter at the Christian High School auditorium, the roof is off. We have about 10 or 15 houses that they have lost their roof completely. And here at my emergency center, about 2 of the officers here have lost their roof.
Oh.
And nobody can move in and out right now because the trees are down. We have a lack of buckets. Our power service has been down for the last 4 or 3 hours.
Oh. So you are now feeling it, as you say.
We are feeling the brunt of it.
Yes. But you're coping.
We are coping. The police is out. As a matter of fact, there's a building in the town that has collapsed.
Which building is that, Mr. Mayor?
Where the Cecil Charlton place used to be right across from our Road and Works department.
Oh? When you said the building collapsed, it blew down?
The roof is gone and sections of the building are down.
Oh. Wow. So when did it start to really pound Mandeville and its environs?
The last hour. And the problem is that it literally feel like it just stood over us and was moving.
Oh. Well.
And, I see black, as a matter of fact, I see black tank in the middle of the road from where I am. And now to build,
You mean they just blew the black tank then?
Got the black tank across the road.
Oh. Oh dear.
Which is dangerous here. A lot of persons have lost roof.
Oh. And that is how it's going to be for the next several hours, so long as the winds continue to be associated with Beryl.
It's more or less down in the Alligator Pond area now, and we have asked them to evacuate that area from morning, so I hope they have done so.
Mm-hmm.
I've been calling about 4 or 5 persons there, and there's no reception in the area, so I'm awaiting the police report to see what is happening in that area.
You mean you're not getting any telephone contact in the area?
In Alligator Pond.
Oh. Well, So we are going to be experiencing that. We are having failures in the telecom system because of the passage of Beryl. JPS at the top of the hour was reporting that up to 40% of its customers across the island were without power, and we know the water is off in several areas as well. Yes? But we're going to get an update on that a little later from JPS and NWC. But the mayor of Mandeville, Donovan Mitchell, saying that, listen, Beryl is now sitting on Mandeville, yes, and causing some serious damage there. And Mayor of Kingston, Andrew Swaby, thank you very much for being with us, sir.
Thank you, Cliff.
Good. Mayor Mitchell, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome, sir.
Good. So that's where it's at. We are going to continue to check in with Hanover, St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland as the night wears on to find out how they are faring, because the focus of attention now has shifted from the eastern end of the island to the western end of the island as Beryl continues to move west-northwest and is expected to take a turn directly to the west as it begins to drift away from Jamaica. Thank you very much. We're going to take a break for the headlines at 6.
Cover Story was brought to you by Hyundai. Modern, premium, affordable vehicles.
Due to the passage of Hurricane Beryl, Trans-Jamaican Highway Limited wishes to advise the public that emergency services and maintenance crews are not available on Highway 2000 East-West, so motorists are to take all proper precautions and avoid using the highway if there is any early evidence of flooding. The toll gates at the Portmore, Spanish Town, Vineyards and Maypen toll plazas of Highway 2000 East-West remain open for free passage until further notice. Let me just repeat that. Due to the passage of Hurricane Beryl, Trans-Jamaican Highway Limited wishes to advise the public that emergency services and maintenance crews are not available on Highway 2000 East-West, so motorists are to take all proper precautions and avoid using the highway if there is any early evidence of flooding. The toll gates at the Portmore, Spanish Town, Vineyards, and Maypen toll plazas of Highway 2000 East-West will remain open for free passage until further notice.
The Office of the Information Commissioner, OIC, is Jamaica's data protection regulator. We're here to ensure large and small, public and private data controllers comply with the Data Protection Act. All data controllers must register with the OIC and process personal data in accordance with the law. Help us create a data-safe society for all. For more information, call us at 876-929-6952. Visit our website at oic.gov.jm. The OIC, your data, your rights protected.
Say hello to peace of mind and goodbye to worry with Guardian Life's new Ultimate Provider Plan, and secure your medical expenses in the event of critical illness today. Call 888-367-5433 for details.
The time by Guardian Life is
2 minutes after 6.
The Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, ODPEM, is reminding the public to take the following precautionary measures as we prepare for a hurricane. Be ready to evacuate if you live in low-lying or flood-prone areas. Decide early on evacuation routes. Avoid flooded waterways such as fords, gullies, streams, or rivers, either on foot or in vehicles. Avoid where necessary areas prone to landslides and flooding. The public is being asked to continue to monitor the media space for further advisories and should take the necessary safety precautions as issued by the ODPEM, Meteorological Service of Jamaica, and the Jamaica Information Service.
The Jamaica Customs Agency is advising that the safety of our staff, customers, and other stakeholders remains our priority as we encounter the weather system, Beryl. We urge you to keep abreast on the latest advisories issued by the relevant government authority and encourage you to stay tuned to this station for updates from the JCA regarding our operations at the sea and airports and our head and corporate offices. You may also follow us on YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook at at Jamaica Customs Agency and at X at Jamaica Customs for official customs-related information. Your safety and ours remains a priority. Jamaica Customs, keeping our customers in focus.
Deposit we have insurance. It's an account that come with assurance. Let me teach you why it's important to have deposit insurance. Just in case your bank crash dead, no need to put your hands on your head. Up to 1.2 million you get for all accounts that's affected. Yeah, one room you can start it, or throw a house party. Pay your mortgage with ease. JDIC is a smart win. Deposits we bring safety. JDIC them protect me. Bank and billing society protected. The flow you must get with. Protect your savings smart. We urging you to call me. Guarantee you need us. We take banking serious.
JDIC, protecting deposits for you and me.
Nationwide, 90 FM, tracking Beryl. 4 minutes after 6 o'clock on the evening of Wednesday, July 3, the day Beryl, yes, shattered Jamaica from the east, and it's now going to the west. And, we here in Jamaica, we have a propensity to make light of the most serious of issues. And today was no exception. We have a video for you, a 32-second video of some Jamaican young people, young men and women, having a party, amidst the rain and the winds of Beryl. They had no regard for Miss Beryl, yes? And you take a look at this video, yes? We have muted the audio because of the language, but you just take a look at those young men and women, doing what kind of dance is that, Boogs? Yeah, she's on her head top. Yes? Isn't that so? She's on her head top, being very flexible. She would make a very good dancer. Yes? And then she is collared by a young man who proceeded to perform. Yes, say no more than that. And this was happening while we were in the throes of Beryl, somewhere in Kingston today. Yes? And they were just having a good time. Yeah? They were just merrymaking. Right? But there you have it. That's how we are. Or some of us are as a people. Yeah? We know that Beryl is making its way westward, right? And it's now south of Alligator Pond in Manchester. It's moving west. So the people of South St. Elizabeth are going to get some of the, the more difficult effects of Beryl. And we have with us the Member of Parliament for South West St. Elizabeth, the Agriculture Minister, Floyd Green. Good evening, Mr. Green.
Evening, Cliff. Evening to you and your listeners and viewers.
What can you tell us about what's facing your constituents in Southern St. Elizabeth?
From all reports, it's absolutely devastating. Clearly, we're still in the throes of the storm, still having heavy wind and rain. So, in terms of assessments, but from all the reports that I've been getting and the videos, we're losing a lot of trees, we're losing a lot of roofs. Treasure Beach, Newell, Barber Hall, Belt, all the way down to Black River. A number of houses have been damaged. In fact, I've already gotten 2 reports of people who've lost their complete house. The houses have blown down completely. From my last discussion with the disaster coordinator, we had about 100 people at shelters across St. Elizabeth. The team has had to be out or screen some people and bringing them into shelters. Most of our main road networks are blocked by trees. Devastating scenes I've seen so far coming out of Holland Bamboo. Roads like Main, Goshen, Lower to Brompton,
Brompton leading down to the border. Almost all of the parish, and definitely the south of the parish. The wind that has been reported and the videos have been shared has been again utterly devastating.
I see a Winston on our YouTube platform saying Cliff from Southfield to Treasure Beach is devastated. It's pure agony. This wind is not easing up. The breadbasket is in serious trouble after everything is lost.
Absolutely. If you looked at the most recent projections, unfortunately, it appears that us in the south, what they call the eye wall, which packs some of the biggest winds and rain. And again, unfortunately, there are coastal towns. I would have visited most of them yesterday to ensure that preparations were in place. I went through Great Bay and Calabash Bay, but based on all the reports thus far, I've had people saying that there are absolutely no trees left in that Treasure Beach belt. They've seen tanks and roofs flying in the wind. So clearly, we've been advising everybody to stay inside, to stay safe. We will do the assessment when things calm down. Unfortunately, by all indications, we still have a few hours to go. So we just have to ask everybody to stay safe. We have been circulating the emergency numbers, and people have been calling the response center. There is a response center, and I really want to commend that the essential services, our police have been on the ground, our fire services have been on the ground, and definitely all the ODPEM people and disaster coordinator and the emergency center has been up and running. So difficult times. I've heard of damage to schools, damage to the hospital. So
Minister Green, have you been able to get a figure as to whether there's anybody across your constituency that's in shelters?
Yeah, definitely there are people in shelters. I don't know the figure for the constituency, but at last check when I asked, some of the people were in shelters. I was told about 100 people were in shelters across St. Elizabeth. Right. I know that there are some in Santa Cruz. Some people who had to be rescued. It's not in my constituency, but I did get a fulsome update. I'm not sure in terms of the numbers in my constituency, but definitely there are people in shelters across Pedro Plains, Newell, Middle Quarters. There are people in shelters.
And one of the things that keeps coming up throughout the day today is that there are some people, some Jamaicans, who have stubbornly refused to evacuate, to leave when they were told to do so. Did you encounter any of that or have any reports of that?
No, not really. In fact, we saw a lot of our fishermen come back from the Keys this time. Right? Sometimes they are a bit reluctant. When I went into the area, a lot of our fishers were drying up their boats and were taking preparations. They were taking it more seriously than other storms, I must say. Right? With that said, based on how Beryl has tracked and the fact that it has come, so close to the South St. Elizabeth, communities like Treasure Beach, Parrot, Black River itself, all the way down to Crawford and Galleon are very, very vulnerable. Right? Normally, people wouldn't necessarily evacuate. They would look at the water levels. But what has been the challenge thus far has been the wind. That has been the challenge thus far. Clearly, rain has come, but I haven't had any significant reports of flooding. The reports that I have been getting from my team of workers across the constituency has been about the wind and roofs and windows being blown out and trees falling on cars and poles falling on cars. Those are the sort of reports that we've been getting thus far.
And you must have two baskets of worry tonight, because in addition to being the Member of Parliament, you're also the Minister of Agriculture. So I imagine you must be concerned about the effect that's going to have on the sector.
I think it's past concern. It has come, Beryl has come at the worst possible time, I must be honest. Last year was a very difficult year for us for agriculture because we did have our hottest and driest year on record. But because of how our farmers are, they definitely came back this year with a bang. You would have seen the figures. We have been growing. They've been putting out in the field. We've increased our hectares under production. We got some rain. Despite it being dry, we did get some rain at a good time. So people had been putting out. normally, and clearly this is part of what is happening with climate change, normally you wouldn't expect a storm of this nature at this time. So people would be out in the field, would be putting out so that they can reap before what would normally be our most challenging times towards the end of August and in September. Right, so it is a very, very difficult time. This has come at the worst possible time. And then when you think about the areas that give us a tremendous amount of production, St. Elizabeth and Manchester continue to lead in terms of the amount. St. Elizabeth does produce the most, I think about 14% of our national production, then followed by Manchester. So, it has come at the worst time, and it seems to have had the worst impact at the worst possible places. So this will be a big setback for our agricultural sector. But, I've always said it, our farmers, our fishers are the most resilient people in the world. Clearly, once we get through this today, we will get on the road tomorrow and see if we can start preparing again to build back stronger.
And if I could just follow up, Cliff, because the minister makes a point about the practices that, you would, at this time, you'd want to reap ahead of the worst impact, which usually comes in August or September. What does that mean going forward over the long term in terms of how we're going to practice and execute in the agricultural sector? We have to change those patterns because the weather patterns are changing.
Yeah, so we spend a lot of time now, a lot of resources on training and looking at new practices and trying to bring innovation. One of the things that we did a couple of years ago is to institutionalize disaster risk management and disaster response in the ministry. So we now have a committee, and all our agencies have their own committee. So since January, we start meeting about it. We start looking at how do we design our farms differently, starting to take into account things like drainage, water flow, especially in areas that are flood prone. We will have to use different technologies.
Okay.
That is the reality. We'd have to look at more, hydroponic structures that can be pulled down when you have things of this nature. And that is some of the work that we're doing with the farmers now. So we will have to change some of our approaches. We will have to, again, continue what we're doing in terms of giving people access to water so that they don't depend on the weather to plant. They can plant straight through and they can get going again tomorrow. So those are some of the things that we will have to get done.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Anytime.
Floyd Green is the Minister of Agriculture and the Member of Parliament for Southwest St. Elizabeth. It's 16 minutes after 6. Water, yes. Several customers of the National Water Commission without water because of the passage of Beryl. We're going to get the latest now from the Water Commission from Delano Williams. Good evening, Mr. Williams.
Good evening.
Hi, Cliff. Good evening to you. Good evening to Ricardo and to your listeners.
Mr. Williams, you're the Corporate Public Relations Manager or what at the NWC. Just remind me of your title.
Yeah, man, it is that. Acting Corporate Public Relations.
Okay. Yes. What's the situation re the provision of water tonight?
Well, we have some major systems that remain operational. Significant side of the corporate area remains on-pipe supply because of the Hermitage, which is really Constant Spring and the Mona system. We do have some reduction at the Hope Filter plant, which is situated close to UTEC. So there is fed by the Hope River, which is highly turbid at this time. Across the island, a number of our systems, especially the rural ones, are affected, Cliff. We just heard the minister talking about St. Elizabeth. We're finding that a large number of our systems there, where we have possible operations, our teams may not be able to get to the plant as quickly because of some of the roadblocks caused by the fallen trees or just flooded roadways. So we are working through those. We, as you may recall, had committed to providing water for as long as possible up to the start of the hurricane condition. Unfortunately, between all of those realities, the flooding, the turbidity with the rivers, simply where the plants are situated are by nature of having to access the source. Some of those are low-lying areas, so they can be impacted and have been impacted by the heavy rainfall and the rising waters. But as we speak, our teams are monitoring the access ways. With the restoration of power in some of these areas, we expect to commence the restoration process over the next 24 hours.
And do you have a sense just about how many of your customers are without water?
In terms of numbers, it's a little tricky. We do have, for instance, in St. Mary, we have about 20 systems, but that number is far less than, for instance, what the one system in Kingston would supply. So we're still collating those numbers. As I said, a lot of the rural areas are affected because the breeze, the heavy rainfall, and in some cases the loss of power would have, in a combined way, affected us. But we are assured that we can respond quickly. Our teams had, in fact, moved ahead, so a number of our storage systems still have water fully topped up, ready to go once we are able to verify that the network has remained intact and it is safe to distribute water to our customers. And this is right across the island.
Yeah. Oh, dear. Well, so we'll have to wait. Your customers will have to wait another day or two.
We wouldn't want to say it's so broad. It will vary for some areas. There are some road networks, some power supply networks which will come back quickly, overnight into tomorrow morning. Others may take us a day or two. What we are committing to doing is to taking the complaints, whether through your station or through the NWC established communication channels, social media, our mobile app, or direct contact numbers.
Okay.
And we respond accordingly.
Thank you very much. Delano Williams of the National Water Commission. 20
Thanks,
minutes.
Delano.
Thank you.
Good. 20 minutes after 6 o'clock. And we have an advisory for motorists now. And we're going to have more of these, so you have to be careful. But we're going to put up on our Nationwide 90 FM YouTube channel, yes, a utility pole at the intersection of Maxfield Avenue and Hagley Park Road in Halfway Tree is toppling over. Yes, that's the intersection of Maxfield Avenue and Hagley Park Road in Halfway Tree. There it is on the YouTube platform. You want to take a look. If you're moving in that area, please be careful. You are being urged to proceed with extreme caution as some of the wires attached to it are dangling in the roadway. And we don't know if these wires are live. And if they're live, you could be electrocuted. Yeah? So please be careful. This is at the intersection, a heavily used intersection of Maxwell Avenue and Hagley Park Road in Halfway Tree. The light pole there is toppling over. And take a good look at it so that, just be warned. Yeah? Don't come into contact with any dangling wire now, because with the heavy winds we have been having throughout the day, poles would have come down, wires dislodged. When you see a wire, stay far from it. Don't come into contact with it. All right? And that one is at the intersection of Maxwell Avenue and Hagley Park Road in Halfway Tree. Yeah, stay clear of it. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to go to Stephen Shaw of the National Works Agency to see what's happening with the roads. All right? That's after the break.
This summer, transform your summer body with Express Fitness Gym. For just $9,500 on AutoPay, you'll get access to all our locations 24/7. Enjoy free classes, fully air-conditioned facilities, showers, and changing rooms. Plus, our certified trainers are here to help you reach your goals. Visit Express Fitness Gym today. Your goal is our mission. Find a location near you or sign up now at pay.expressfitnessja.com.
23 minutes after 6, due to the passage of Hurricane Beryl, Trans-Jamaican Highway Limited wishes to advise the public that emergency services and maintenance crews are not available on Highway 2000 East-West, so motorists are to take all proper precautions and avoid using the highway if there's any early evidence of flooding. The toll gates at the Portmore, Spanish Town, Vineyards and Maypen toll plazas of Highway 2000 East-West will remain open for free passage until further notice.
My Mega
With so much to do in one location, make Megamart your one-stop shop. Pick up your groceries and houseware needs, grab a bite and pay some bills. Fill your prescriptions and see the beauty products in our pharmacy. All in one amazing location. My Megamart, the best value by far.
My Mega Mart, best value by far.
Me know me did a clown you about getting hurricane ready and everything. But yesterday, my member said the last hurricane we come, we did have a whole heap of problem because we never prepare or listen to your safety advice.
It's a shame, so you have to learn your lesson. But 3 things you can do this time is 1. Have a licensed electrician, check the wiring to ensure them fine. 2. Trim trees near power lines and remove danger trees that could fall on lines. But call JPS if your trees are already touching the power lines, okay? And 3. Make sure that everybody know where the circuit breaker is in case you don't need to turn off the power.
Alright. Me go try do them here this time. And me will stay inside if one come. Me member say one zinc flyer almost chop me last hurricane.
Yes, and turn off and plug out all electronics and appliances, especially if there is lightning.
Me go deal with it, man.
JPS, powering what matters.
25 minutes after 6, we're getting updates from the various sector leaders, the state of the country following the passage, well, it's still passing, Hurricane Beryl. Returning now to the NWA, we have with us Stephen Shaw. Good evening, Mr. Shaw. Stephen Shaw? No,
well, he's
Shaw.
not there, but let me tell you, I don't know how many Jamaicans would remember the name Roy Forrester. Roy Forrester was synonymous with the weather, yes, on the now defunct Jamaica Broadcasting Corporation in the 80s and the 90s. And he was a chief meteorologist at JBC at the time. Well, Roy passed recently in the United States, and he was buried today. His funeral service was today at 11 a.m. at the National Cemetery, in the U.S. And someone has sent it to me to say, what a coincidence, at the time of the passage of Beryl, Roy would have been in his Aki, doing the weather forecasting and reports on the progress of Beryl. And he died at 93, yes? So Roy Forrester is dead, and he was a household name in Jamaica.
Yes.
When it comes to
synonymous with weather.
Yes, reading the weather on JBC at the time.
Stephen Shaw, good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
What's the situation in terms of any possible blockages?
We have a number of roads across the country that are still being impacted by different things, to include fallen trees, landslides. We have some debris that would have been pushed onto the roads as a result of wave action. And we have downed GPS poles also impacting some roads.
And we know some areas usually, for example, landslides, sections of East Rural St. Andrew. Have you had any reports?
We have had, rural St. Andrew is always going to be impacted based on the topography and the soil type. And so what we have to do is to take the reports, make the assessment as to when it is safe for us to venture into those spaces, because,
even at this point, I mean, it's still raining. The winds would have died down somewhat, but then the earth is so saturated, you'll find rock falls happening, you'll find embankments still coming down. And so we have to look at the safety element and make a determination as to when we can actually go into some of these spaces to try and do the cleaning and clearing.
And based on the reports you've been getting, which parish or the parishes are being most affected?
So far, the most impact we'd have seen is in Portland and St. Mary.
And the plan is to clear them as soon as possible, but that's not going to be possible for another day or two?
Yeah, we have started, Cliff. But as I said, we have to do the risk assessment. While we want to get persons going about their business as quickly as possible, we also have to be mindful that, the persons on whom we rely to go into, to drive heavy equipment, the backhoe, the loaders, the trucks, and the like, they too have families, and their families want to see them come home.
Absolutely. What's the situation in the corporate area in parts of, for example, West Rural St. Andrew?
We have had some reports, mainly in the Temple Hall area and sections. The West Rural is also connected to as the above rocks area that's in the hills of St. Catherine, and we do have some issues in those areas.
But you don't know as the extent of the blockage is in those areas?
Fallen trees are what we have in these spaces.
Okay. And that would be beyond the capacity of the residents to clear?
Well, I know that in some of the instances, the residents have been self-helping to the extent that they can. Where it is that they can't, then of course we will have to ensure that whatever is needed is done. Even where they have gone in and they have self-help, the thing is they make clear to single lane, just to allow small vehicles to traverse the roads. We have to then go in and ensure that the areas are fully reopened.
Well, is it that the Temple Hall main road is blocked or roads leading off the main road?
The Temple Hall main road was blocked. There was some self-help to get that one reopened. But beyond Temple Hall, the road leading to the junction, we have multiple impediments on it.
Even in the best of times, that is problematic.
Yes.
So that is going to take some time to be cleared fully, right?
Yes. We will have to go into this space, no doubt, tomorrow, because night is falling as we speak. And it's still raining.
Yes.
And as I said, the safety element is very crucial when we are responding to these incidents.
Okay. Thank you very much, Stephen. Stephen Shaw is Manager of Communications at the National Works Agency.
We're being sent, Cliff, a note that says, please, rescue support is needed up by Highlight View, Gordontown Road. In terms of the specifics as to what's happening, we're not sure, but this person appealing for help, what they term rescue support, is needed up by Highlight View, Gordontown Road. Yeah.
Well, if you could give us some more details, it would be helpful. Right? All right, we're going to turn now to the Director of Corporate Communications at the Light and Power Company, Jamaica Public Service Company, Winsome Callum. Good evening.
Good evening, Cliff, and good evening to your listeners and our customers.
All right.
I hope you're all safe.
Well, we're safe. Ricardo and I are safe, and our staff here. How are you?
I am good.
Good. Well, what's the situation now with the restoration of power to your customers?
Well, right now, unfortunately, about 65% of our customers are without power.
Wow.
And these customers are all over the island. Right now, the only parishes that still have electricity. The parishes of Kingston and St. Andrew. The rest of the island is basically without power.
No, Miss Callum. Parts of St. Andrew are still without power.
Yes, absolutely. But these are the two parishes that did not go completely
completely.
Power.
Because
yes. But we understand, yes, and it's quite distressing for us also. But the impact of Hurricane Beryl on the system has actually been pretty extensive. And so we have seen the system protecting itself in some cases by just shutting down to prevent extensive damage. And in some cases, we actually did proactively do some load shedding to ensure the stability of the system. Because of the heavy wind, we saw increased instability, and so to prevent a total system shutdown, we had to do some load shedding. So we still have some areas of Kingston and St. Andrew lit, other areas of the country without power. We're going to be doing our very best to restore supply as soon as possible when it is safe to begin doing that.
When we spoke just before
because a number of people were asking me today, Ricardo Winsome, explain for the listeners why and what is involved when you say you have the system shuts down itself so as to prevent any serious fallout or what. What is involved and how does that work?
Okay, so JPS did not shut down the grid today, as you would recognize. Some persons did not lose power altogether. What happens is that when the system is experiencing intense hurricane winds like we saw today, as well as the heavy rains, we have external environmental factors impacting the network. These include trees falling on the lines banging together and breaking. We had some areas of land slippages where the poles came out and trees fell on the line. So that caused the power outages that we saw earlier in the day. And that is sort of a natural response of the delivery network that has inbuilt protection mechanisms that shut down the system in pockets, specific feeders or the affected lines, and that shutdown is contained to those lines to prevent extensive damage to the system. So that's what would have happened as the system naturally responded to protect itself.
Right. And naturally you have to protect your crews, your workers, in the effort to restore as quickly as possible. But as one lady asked me today, she lost her power in Trelawney. And no storm, no breeze, no wind, no reach Trelawney yet, but yet she lost power. I'm going to put it in another way. Tonight, 65% of your customers without power. Now that the system is drifting to the west, will you be able to start restoring the power to those in the east? For example, Far East, Portland, St. Thomas, coming west.
So as the system passes, we have already started our own initial assessment. And this is where we have to start with any restoration. We have to do an assessment of the damage because it's not as simple as just flicking a switch. So we have to be cautious how we start the restoration. Right now, we are using the technology available to us to remotely review what's happening, the impact on the system, and where the opportunity exists. We are going to be doing everything to bring customers on where we see it being safe and possible. So there will be customers who are brought on back onto the grid tonight if everything goes well. However, we will not be able to bring back the majority of our customers onto the grid until after we have done the actual physical damage assessment. Now, that physical damage assessment requires our team members going out into the field and examining the different elements of the network. We are not going to be able to start that physical damage assessment until we get the all clear from ODPEM. We have to get the all clear, and that is given after the hurricane warning is lifted, and once ODPEM determines that it is safe for persons to be out, then we will go out and start the initial damage assessment. And once we recognize the opportunities coming from that assessment, opportunities to start the restoration, we will start the restoration.
Ms. Callum, when we spoke at about 3, you said it was about 40% of the island that was without power. Now you're saying 65%. Do you anticipate that that is going to worsen? I'm
sorry, I didn't hear that.
When we spoke earlier at about 3, it was 40% of the island of your customers you said were without power. Now you're reporting 65%. I'm saying, do you expect that number to worsen or to increase?
Well, we saw increased instability on the grid, and in order to prevent damage to the grid and a shutdown that would have made it much more difficult to start the restoration, we actually took some customers off to ensure that there's some balance and restore stability to the grid. Now, we actually see most customers being without power going into tomorrow. It's not what we want, and as I said, as much as possible, we are addressing the opportunities, utilizing those opportunities tonight to see if we can remotely connect areas where the opportunities are. But we, unfortunately, most of us will be without power going into tomorrow.
Keith, I could just ask a question another way. Do you anticipate that you'll have to take any more customers off the grid as the night progresses?
No, we're not expecting that will be the case. We know that there is a possibility of some delayed impact on the grid. For example, in areas that have become saturated where there's flooding, we might actually see trees coming down on the line. But because most of the island is without power now, I do not believe that we will see any significant worsening or a significant percentage of additional customers going without power tonight. We are really, really making an effort to bring those on that we can bring on remotely.
Ms. Callum, we highlighted earlier this evening a situation at the intersection of Hagley Park and Maxfield Avenue, a pole coming down, and we were told that the wires are dangling and that people should be very, very careful in approaching it because you don't want to come into contact with any wire, especially when it's raining. Have you been made aware of this situation? Do you know?
I do not have information on that specific case. Our teams were out as long as it was safe to do so earlier today, and so they did respond to some of the reports. We know that some of the lines have been de-energized that had dangling wires earlier. But what I can say is that we're urging our customers to stay away, especially now that there's mostly darkness. We're asking our customers to stay indoors and away from any dangling line, any leaning pole. Just stay away because you do not know if the line is alive or not. So that's the precaution. And once we get the all clear from the government, I can guarantee you that our teams will be out to start the restoration work, which will begin with damage assessment, and then we will be restoring power to the most essential services, meaning the hospitals, the airports, the water facilities, telecom sites, and so on. So our teams are actually on standby, waiting for the all clear to begin the restoration process.
And remind us, Winsome Callum, for customers who may have lost their power or seen a situation such as the one we just spoke about, how do they contact you? How do they report it?
So right now we are aware of all the areas that are out. We because of the nature of the impact on the system, we are aware of all the areas out. So it is not necessary for persons to report an outage right now.
You're fully automated now. You know when
we do have quite a bit of technology that's benefiting us and our customers. This includes the smart meter and the smart grid network that we have been building out over the past few years. But right now, typically after a hurricane, Cliff, the utility has a pretty accurate sense of the broad areas and the communities that are out. Where we may not have specific information is when we drill down to the individual customers in the remote areas, and these customers may not have smart meters. But right now, I can tell you that we know where the outages are. There is a restoration process that we follow, which includes dealing with the power lines that take electricity back to the largest number of persons first. So we deal with those main distribution lines that take power to the distribution centers. And from those centers, we deal with the smaller lines that take the power to the communities. And it is only after we have dealt with the larger geographical areas that we will be able to deal with the individual customers who may have problems on their property, such as this large service wire, things that need to be dealt with on a case-by-case basis. But right now, we are pretty much aware of the communities that are without power. That being said, though, we do want to hear from our customers. So we urge them to contact us using the mobile app. They can share information with us on our social media pages at MyJPS Online. And to get updates, we will be providing ongoing information on our network, our social media platforms, on our website, and we have a new WhatsApp channel that we are using to provide regular updates. And starting tomorrow, when we expect it to get the all clear, we will be providing consistent, regular updates to our customers. So you can get the link to our WhatsApp channel by going onto our website or onto our social media pages at MyJPS Online.
Okay. JPS, gone first world. It can tell you that your light is out. Well done, Winsome Callum.
Thank you so much, Chris. And we will be keeping you posted. Please stay safe and just ask your customers and your team members to just go on our WhatsApp channel, and we'll have all the information there. So
but 65% is a whole heap. We don't want to come. I'll call you back by Friday and we're going to get back with light in a Winsome.
No, I'm sure that within the next 48 hours, most of these customers will have their power back. But as I said, the restoration can take a while depending on the impact on our system.
Yes.
We can, maybe in the next 24 hours, give you a more definitive sense of how long it will take.
Thank you, Winsome Callum.
Okay.
And thank you very much.
You're welcome. Good.
We're getting some more information from that situation in Highlight View. Apparently, the hill came down on a woman's house. She says she's been calling emergency numbers, but not getting through. We still don't have a clear picture of where exactly in Highlight View. So, if the emergency services could get to that area.
What did they say? It was Gordon Town?
Gordon Town Road, yes.
Yeah. All right. So, if you can, emergency services, the fire brigade, if you could get to Highlight View in Gordon Town to offer some assistance to that resident. There was a landslide in the area, and apparently she needs help.
Yeah.
Right?
And if you're traveling along Constant Spring Road, remnants of what appears to have been a billboard are strewn across a section of the road near the intersection with Shortwood Road. The parts include metal and glass pieces, and they're barely visible upon approach, so proceed with caution. That's along Constant Spring Road, the intersection with Shortwood Road.
Yeah, you have to be careful, and now there's no light in the area. That could also pose another problem.
Yes.
So be careful. It could be very treacherous trying to make your way home or wherever you were today as an essential worker. Be careful. Right? It's 13 minutes going up to 7. Well, we have heard from National Water Commission, the Jamaica Public Service Company. Time now to hear from Digicel, what's happening with the network, the Digicel network. Communications Manager Digicel, Elon Parkinson. Good evening.
Good evening,
Elon. Hi, Cliff. How are you doing? Ricardo.
Good. So, how did the network survive? Is it holding up, especially now in the West?
It's holding up, especially given what Hurricane Beryl has thrown at it. We have just about 40% of our sites that are inoperable, mainly due to power issues. In other cases, the sites they're really up, but the antennas have shifted. And where there's no proximal coverage, then customers are going to have a reduced signal experience, and they may have to try more than once to make a call. They'll experience data speeds that have been reduced. However, we encourage customers to continue to use the SMS service. In most cases, they're able to send a text message nonetheless.
And it's going to take how long to be back up fully?
Well, we're working in tandem with the National Works Agency, the fire department, in some cases, simply to gain access to some of these sites. You'll appreciate that some of our cell sites are in very remote areas, and access is going to be a challenge. For example, we received some feedback from customers in Mavis Bank to say that they've lost service there, and we'll obviously have to check on the access route. You will appreciate it's a hilly area, and from time to time there are landslides. In other cases, some parts of the roads are flooded in other sections of the country, and of course our teams have to proceed with caution. We have security concerns as well, so we have to work closely with the Constabulary Force when it comes down to accessing certain sites in order to refuel, in some cases to reconfigure the electronic equipment that's there to get it up and working again to serve our customers. And so it's a coordinated effort now that our team at the Emergency Operations Center here in downtown Kingston, where I am, they are busy putting it all together along with our National Operations Center located elsewhere.
Okay. So that's the word from Mr. Digicel, Elon Parkinson. Yes.
Yeah, Cliff, and just to say as well, we not only operate mobile, we're also fiber, so there's the Digicel Plus network. And some customers in Clarendon, in sections of St. Catherine and Kingston and St. Andrew, they're experiencing issues with Digicel Plus service. In some cases, we've already identified why. Infrastructure, including billboards, for example, that would have been torn down, would have also ripped out some of the fiber optic cables. And so those cables being dislodged means that customers no longer have service. So as soon as it's safe for our teams to get out there, they will do just that and restore connectivity as quickly as possible. We have a team of engineers who've been fanning out. Well, they've fanned out right across the country already just before the storm hit. And so the moment we have the all clear, the moment it's safe for them to get out there and conduct the repairs and restoration, they'll be on it to get our customers connected as quickly as possible.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right. All the best.
Good.
And just to tell our listeners, we've been advised by Flow that they'll be sending out a media release providing a similar update. Yeah?
All right. We're going to take a break and come back with more. Yes. Tracking Beryl.
The Jamaica Customs Agency is advising that the safety of our staff, customers, and other stakeholders remains our priority as we encounter the weather system, Beryl. We urge you to keep abreast on the latest advisories issued by the relevant government authority and encourage you to stay tuned to this station for updates from the JCA regarding our operations at the sea and airports and our head and corporate offices. You may also follow us on YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook at Jamaica Customs Agency and at X at Jamaica Customs for official customs-related information. Your safety and ours remains a priority. Jamaica Customs, keeping our customers in focus.
How much for your drink a rare rum? How much for your flask? How much for your drink a rare rum? How much for your flask? When you head to the bar, feel our vibes and party. Spend 15 bills, get a queue, feed the crew. Or spend 250 pound a drink for you or your boo. How much for your drink a rare rum? How much for your flask? How much for your drink a rare rum? How much for your flask?
Must be 18 years old to drink responsibly. This is a health advisory for persons with chronic illnesses from the Ministry of Health and Wellness. As Jamaica continues to prepare for inclement weather associated with Hurricane Beryl, the Ministry of Health and Wellness is advising persons with chronic illnesses such as diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, and asthma to ensure that you have adequate supply of medication. If you must evacuate your homes, ensure that you take your medications with you to the place of shelter and continue to take them as prescribed by your doctor while away from home. That was a health advisory for persons with chronic illnesses from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Want to pursue your dreams of higher education without financial stress? At the University of the Commonwealth Caribbean, we believe in making education accessible for all. We're excited to share that the Students' Loan Bureau no longer requires guarantors for access to SLB loans at UCC. That's right, no more hassle finding a guarantor. And that's not all. Payments can be deferred until after graduation. To learn more, visit the UCC website at www.ucc.edu.jm. UCC, fostering leadership and innovation.
Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, is a financial reporting firm that delivers accounting and compliance services on time. Call us today at 876-908-0486-7. Email us at clientservices@cocnjamaica.com or visit our website at www.cocnjamaica.com. COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
Me know me did a clown you about getting hurricane ready and everything. But yesterday my member said the last hurricane we come, we did have a whole heap of problem because we never prepare or listen to your safety advice.
It's a shame, so you have to learn your lesson. But 3 things you can do this time is 1. Have a licensed electrician, check the wiring to ensure them fine. 2. Trim trees near power lines and remove danger trees that could fall on lines. But call JPS if your trees are already touching the power lines, okay? And 3, make sure that everybody know where the circuit breaker is in case you don't need to turn off the power.
Alright, me go try do them here this time. And me will stay inside if one come. Me remember say one zinc flyer almost chop me last hurricane.
Yes, and turn off and plug out all electronics and appliances, especially if there is lightning.
Me go deal with it, man.
JPS, powering what matters.
Is your strata filing its annual returns? In keeping with the Registration Strata Titles Act, strata corporations are required to submit an audited financial statement or a copy of its accounts, prepared in keeping with generally accepted accounting principles, signed by the chairman and at least one other member of the executive committee. This must be submitted annually to the Commission of Strata Corporations within 120 days after the end of the financial year. For more information, contact the Commission of Strata Corporations at 926-9748-9.
Experience Jamaica's Olympic triumphs in Jamaica Gold, a golden spotlight.
Brought to you by Horton's Pharmacy. Horton's RX Pack for better medication management.
4 years after Arthur Wint won the men's 400 meters at the 1948 Olympics, George Roden won the event to ensure the title remained with Jamaica. Roden competed in the 1948 Summer Olympics but did not win a medal, being eliminated in the heats of the 100 meters and the semi-final of the 400 meters. He was also a member of the heavily favored Jamaican 4x400 meters relay team, but when Wint pulled a muscle in the final, their chances of a medal were gone. After a disappointing showing at the 1948 Summer Games, Roden was successful at the 1952 Olympics in Helsinki. As world record holder, he was one of the pre-race favorites in the 400 meters, which he won in a close battle with his compatriot Herb McKinley. McKinley says the photo-finish judge awarded the race to the right man.
Again, there was a photo finish, and I lost the judgment. But there was no doubt that Roden had actually beat me in this, although both of us at the same time.
You just experienced a Jamaican Olympic triumph in Jamaica Gold, a golden spotlight.
Brought to you by Horton's Pharmacy. Horton's RX Pack for better medication management.
Catch
Catch the E-Zone with me, the Stinger Honeybee, alongside
Kareem Boy Ting.
as we turn up the heat
in the street. New show.
New vibe.
Same us.
Same us.
Monday to Friday, 3 to 5 p.m.
Right here on Nationwide 90 FM.
We'll bring you entertainment news.
We'll take away your Monday blues.
You don't want to miss a week with us.
We'll talk health.
Well,
jump into the mix.
Or the hot seat.
Don't miss the brain buster.
Or the crazy giveaways.
I mean, is this planet Earth?
Is it?
I don't know. Let me check. Either way, it's got a buzz.
And a bugger thing.
Ow.
Do you have a consumer-related issue? Want to learn more about matters concerning you as a consumer? Well, keep it locked to Nationwide 90 FM for the Consumer Hour with me, Nora Gay Banton. Weekdays from 9 to 10 a.m. For all your consumer-centric matters, stay tuned to the Consumer Hour on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
As we grow older, there are many challenges that we have to confront, but these years can represent the best in our lives. Coming of Age during Nationwide This Morning on Thursdays explores issues persons 50 and over confront. It also provides expert opinions on how we can improve the quality of our lives as we get older. That's Coming of Age, this and every Thursday during Nationwide This Morning at 6:51 a.m.
It's 7 o'clock. Thank you so much for staying with us here on Nationwide at 5, this special edition of Tracking Hurricane Beryl. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Siobhan Campbell, filling in for the old gentleman who has stepped aside after his very long day.
Boo-hoo. We're now being joined by the mayor of Montego Bay, Richard Vernon. Mayor Vernon, good evening.
Good evening, how are you? It's a little bit low. Good evening to your listeners as well.
Can you hear me now? Better?
Yeah, I hear you better.
All right.
Good.
What's the situation like now in Montego Bay?
Well, gusty wind, raining. We're still watching nothing unprecedented as we would expect in a devastating hurricane or a Category 4 system. No, we're still monitoring for anything else that we really need to react to immediately after the wind subsides. But we earlier had to move out into some of the sections to remove some large trees that fell onto main roadways that connect large communities to essential services, including the hospital, the Corner Regional Hospital, and the comprehensive clinic, type 5 clinic. So we removed those, but we got reports of others that have fallen across different sections of St. James. So as soon as we get the chance, we will do our pre-assessment and then full assessment before we carry out the cleanup exercise.
Outside of the debris affecting certain areas, have you had any reports of any major infrastructure damage or damage to any buildings?
No, not at all. Just a few zincs flying around, but in terms of major infrastructural damage, no. And we also note that the stormwaters are running off smoothly through the drainage system, so we have not experienced any flooding as yet. If we continue to get showers that is beyond the capacity of the drainage system, then we may experience that, but not at the moment. But we expect to have showers right after the winds subside based on the reports that we're getting from the Met Office.
You must be breathing a sigh of relief because by all expectations it was going to be far, far worse than what we're seeing now.
Certainly, but I'm not breathing a sigh of relief until after 9 this evening.
After 9, okay. All right.
Yes, but I'm happy that our center has not received any calls pertaining to casualty or major accidents or anything like that. Thus far, things seem to be going well, and we hope to have it remain in that way.
And in terms of your shelters, how many residents are in your shelters now?
Still have the same as we had earlier.
Okay.
We have not had any emergency evacuation so far, but persons were housed at the shelter earlier based on the fact that they may think they live in an area that they deem, and we deem as well, as flood-prone areas, vulnerable areas, and also that they believe their structures that they live in are vulnerable, so they decided to stay in the shelter instead. So of the 58 shelters, 13 of them are occupied with 34 persons. Most of the persons are elderly persons, 3 children. The female to male ratio now is about 40% males, 60% females. And the homeless shelter, we still have 11, 1 female, 10 males. And at the convention center, the Montego Bay Convention Center, we still have 50 visitors being housed there. So those are the numbers that we have up to this hour. I will be getting some more updates soon, and then I'll be able to communicate later on if we have any changes in those numbers that we have.
Tell me, Mayor Vernon, are there any sections of the parish without electricity or water at this moment?
Several sections without electricity, not certain about the water situation. We have not had any reports of loss of water connection or supply, but we have areas without electricity. A matter of fact, I've had to ask them to turn off some of the grids that carry the electricity to some of the communities based on the trees that have fallen in the areas onto wires, and some wires are down in some sections. And at Top Road, that area known as Top Road, the other road parallel to Bottom Road, Jamaica Boulevard, that section has a light pole out and has been properly placed into the gully section of that roadway. So we have had to request the power supply off so that we don't have any further damages. And we got a report from Peddlers Lane in Mount Salem that light post fell on a house along with a tree, and the wires are live, so we asked him to turn that off as well. So there are several places without electricity that we requested, and maybe JPS has had some difficulties with managing the supply to some areas, so they may have turned those off as well.
Yeah. All right. Richard Vernon, Mayor of Montego Bay, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right. Have a good one. All right. We're going to take your calls now. Talk to us about what's happening, what you've been seeing all day. Yeah. 630-9371-4, 6188-8255. Those are the numbers to call. Soon come.
Want to pursue your dreams of higher education without financial stress? At the University of the Commonwealth Caribbean, we believe in making education accessible for all. We're excited to share that the Students' Loan Bureau no longer requires guarantors for access to SLB loans at UCC. That's right, no more hassle finding a guarantor. And that's not all. Payments can be deferred until after graduation. To learn more, visit the UCC website at www.ucc.edu.jm. UCC, fostering leadership and innovation.
I'm Dennis Brooks. I'm Marlon Campbell.
I'm Floyd Green.
And I'm Garth Williams. Catch us on the Jamaican Dads podcast right here on Nationwide 90 FM, Thursdays at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m.
The Jamaican Dads podcast is all about providing men with a healthy, safe, and functional forum to tackle many of the taboo topics that concern our masculinity.
Like everyone else out there, we're dads of varying amounts of experience who come from different backgrounds and often view the world differently.
We're definitely not perfect, but we're all brethren and we're all committed to this piece of rock called Jamaica.
Too often, there are no safe spaces for men to explore the issues which are important to us.
Plus, most of the content out there about parenthood is produced by women, for women. So we think it is important that we be the change we want to see.
Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Jamaican Dads with a Z.
And definitely join us here on Nationwide 90 90 FM every Thursday at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m. for the Jamaican Dads Podcast. It's a revolution in media.
Hi there. Here's some good news for these trying times. Quote, "By God's word, I can see where I'm going. They throw a beam of light on my dark path." Unquote. Psalm 119, verse 105. Listen for God's Word weekdays at 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. through
Oasis. Stop by for a refreshing drink and share a God perspective for the day.
Oasis. Weekdays 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. right here on Nationwide, a revolution in media.
The rebroadcast of the Oasis can be heard weekdays at 5:45 a.m.
The Oasis is brought to you by Solar Tech Jamaica. We use the gift of the sun to power our world.
9 minutes after 7, Siobhan, we're getting reports that a young man has been swept away by floodwaters in a gully in Trenchtown in St. Andrew. Apparently, the reports are indicating that he might have jumped in after a ball. They were playing football and he apparently jumped in after a ball. The reports are indicating he has been swept away. So I don't know if the newsroom can try to get some more information on that, but the reports are that a young man has been swept away in a gully in Trenchtown. He apparently jumped in after a ball. He and his friends were playing football. Yeah, so that would be a really, really tragic situation if that is indeed the case. 630-937-124, 618-8255. Those are the numbers to call. We're taking your calls. And it's a busy week because tomorrow, yes, we've had, quite a day here. But tomorrow in the United Kingdom, the people of the United Kingdom are going to the polls. Yeah, and by all indications,
it's going to be a sweep for the Labour Party.
The Conservative government will be swept from office in a landslide that I see the pundits predicting will be something akin to what happened in 1997, was it? When Tony Blair and New Labour were swept into office.
That's after 18 years under the Tories?
Right. And in this case, it would be 14? 14 years? Yeah, I think they've been in power since 2010, I think. Yeah, so, yeah, that's happening tomorrow.
We'll definitely want to watch tomorrow if only a hurricane here in Jamaica.
And we'll be watching it, yeah. The latest advisory from the Hurricane Center, Beryl, is still continuing to slowly move away. Yeah, slowly. 20 miles per hour is what it's indicating. It's moving away. And the eye wall was just brushing off the coast of Alligator Pond. That's in southern Manchester, I believe?
Yes, it should be away from us before the end of the evening, I understand.
Yeah. 630-937-124, 618-8255. Julius, good evening.
Top of the evening to you. How are you doing?
Doing all right. How are you?
I'm trying to fight it, trying to go through the rain here.
Where are you located?
I was on Agri Park, but now I'm on Orange Street. When the thing was happening heavy, I was down Agri Park over there.
Okay, yeah.
But there's a blockage on Orange Street near close to North Street. A big tree fall down to block almost the whole. There's a little part you have to pass, but some wire. Every wire there.
Where's that you say that is?
Orange Street, North Street intersection.
Okay.
Yeah, the whole road almost block off there. And in half a tree, I told them about half a tree with the light post close to JBC there. When you come up Agri Park Road to make that left.
Yes.
As you go around the corner, there's a light post almost touching the ground. So because of that, the wire hangs down across the road. So you have to be careful.
Okay.
Yeah, right there. But it was just, I remember Gilbert Gilbert had to hide under the table and everything like that because something fell on the roof and it was leaking and everything like that. Yeah. But this one, man, this one is so heavy and scary.
Yeah.
But yeah, nobody much is on the road here now. More than the police going all about up and down. But hope for the best, eh?
We do.
Yeah. All right. Have a nice day, man.
Yeah, man. Keep yourself safe. 630-9371 to 4-618-8255. And I do see our colleagues in other parts of the media, Siobhan, reporting that, yes, indeed, a man has been washed away by flood waters. He apparently is 20 years old. Yeah.
So not a child, a man?
Yes. A 20-year-old man, yes. That's pretty sad.
Unfortunate news to hear,
yeah.
Especially as the storm is moving away, and we'd have hoped there would have been no casualties as a result.
Yes, cultural critic, there is confirmation that a young man was washed away. Yeah. Betsy Paul reacting there saying a life lost because of a ball. Crazy. Yeah, that's the initial story that we're getting, Betsy. Still waiting to hear if that's actually what happened. Yeah. So we are getting confirmation now from our producer that the Kingston Western Police have confirmed the incident. Someone was washed away. And the search teams, the JDF, the JCF, and the fire brigade are now engaged in a search for the young man. And that's all they can tell us at this point, yeah? And they have not yet identified the young man. So we have confirmed that a young man was washed away, and that search and rescue, or search certainly, is on the way at this time. The JDF, the JCF, and the Jamaica Fire Brigade.
We'll certainly have more updates as those come in, listeners and viewers.
Imri McRae is asking what category storm was Gilbert when it hit Jamaica. Category 3 is what the information says. Yeah. 630-9371 to 4-618-8255. Those are the numbers to call. Want to hear from you, especially if you're in any of the eastern parishes, southern parishes, out there out west. What's it like for you? Siobhan was a little bit disappointed. Siobhan expected more drama. Is that what you said you wanted?
I suppose in the grand scheme of things, the storm came just south of us, skirted us a little bit, the eye of the storm.
Yes.
So I was bracing for quite a bit of a heavier storm surge into the island, but let's say things are fortunate. Turned out that did not happen. The island was spared what I would consider the worst of a very deadly storm, a Category 4, and not a low Category 4, either a high Category 4 storm. So let's be thankful that the island was spared that. I'm sure we'll have an assessment by sometime next week by the Prime Minister in Parliament as to what the damage was, but let's be thankful that things have worked.
And I am. We're also getting reports that there's a downed tree. What this looks like Harbour View. From the roundabout, that's what it looks like to me. But this person is saying it's Rockfort Road from the airport. Yes, this looks like the road from the roundabout, the Harbour View roundabout. There's a tree that's blocking the road. Yeah.
And today is a reminder that incident with the young man being washed away, that we're still not out of the woods, people. Please stay indoors, stay out of trouble, and try not to be out on the road unless you absolutely have to. It's not a joking matter. I mean...
Yeah, and it does appear that people who are living in Manchester, St. Elizabeth, they are having a Clarendon, parts of Clarendon as well, they're having a hard time of it. A friend of mine was saying that, he lives overseas and he called his father. His father lives in Manchester. And he said that's the most terrified he has ever heard his father sound. That the winds, his father was saying that the winds were pretty serious. Yeah. So it does appear that along that southern belt, they really got it hard. Kimani Bernard says, my mom lost her roof. Oh, where's your mom, Kimani? That it does appear that those parishes, Clarendon, St. Elizabeth, Manchester, that they're taking a battering. And already there's the conversation about whether we over prepared as a country for that.
No such thing.
And I'll never entertain that.
There's no such thing.
And I'll never entertain any argument, that the threat was overblown. No, not at all. Kimani says his mom is in Westmoreland. Oh, I am sorry to hear that, Kimani. Densley saying the hurricane is not over, but NNN seems to be saying it's over. We are not saying that. Nobody here said that, Denzel. Where did you hear that? Please listen carefully. The numbers to call, 630-9371, 618-8255. Jamaica Rickett says, thanks be to God, it could have been worse. I prayed for labor rights and comrades. Dash with the politics. Yeah, in a moment like this, we're all just Jamaicans. As in most moments, we should all just be Jamaicans.
And I hope we can remember that spirit of camaraderie after the storm has passed, going into the rest of the year.
Let's hope so.
You don't seem hopeful.
No, not very much so. Because even when it was approaching, I saw some very tasteless and disgraceful things being said online. So when we were facing the threat, people, they didn't put the ugliness aside at all. Kimani says it was on the border of Westmoreland and Hanover, but she went downstairs. Okay, that's good, Kimani. I'm glad that she is well. Yeah. Larry Perry says there's no such thing as being over prepared. God was good to us. I agree with you. Can't be over prepared. And you just can't take the threat lightly. And everything suggested that that it was going to be significant. Cliff did say the worst is behind us. Yeah, well, yes, that I think is a fair assessment of where we are now. That doesn't mean we're saying it's over. The worst is behind us. Yeah. The drivers on the road were okay. Okay, Larry. What's that about, Larry? Southwestern parts of our country seems to have gotten the brunt of Beryl's badgering. Yes, I agree. That does seem to be what has happened. Yeah.
And, according to the National Hurricane Center, as of about 7 p.m., the eye of Beryl is now southwest of the island and moving away from us. So, it's factually correct to say that the storm is now passing us.
Yeah. All right. Let's take the break and come back with more.
Nationwide 90 FM is at it again. Team Revolution will clear every hurdle and sprint to the finish line as we cover the games of the 33rd Olympiad from Paris, the city of love.
Fraser Price gets the start, and look at this, Ahuri going well, and here they're coming to close it down. Jetta's coming through, but Fraser Price on the near side, the Olympic champion defends! She defends the title! Wonderful run by Shelly Ann.
Nationwide's coverage is powered by our diamond sponsor, Pizza Hut. Now, that's delivering from all locations, island-wide.
Come join us outside with Pepita. Every Saturday from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. right here on Nationwide 90 FM. We bring you the views, the news, and we'll be cruising all around Jamaica.
Surprise them with a bang.
Where the hot spots, raindrops, sunshine, we'll be there. Don't miss it, don't miss it. Outside with Pepita.
As a parent, you give your children a good start in life. You nurture, protect, and guide them. Parenting is a process that prepares your child for independence. As your child grows and develops, there are many things you can do to help your child. Stay tuned to The Big Show, Nationwide this morning for parenting tips. Fridays at 6:53 a.m. Only here will you learn everything you need to know about parenting. Tips to help parents navigate the incredibly challenging and rewarding journey of child rearing. Parenting tips on Nationwide at 90 FM, the revolution in media.
I stay locked to the Olympics because, of course, I'm Jamaican. What you mean?
Me, I have to tune into the Olympics, man. Because me always busy, but what? I have to know when Sherika Jackson beat Shakari.
Brother, I have to have every notification for the Olympics. I want to hear every run.
Now Sherika Jackson coming
every jump.
Oh, that is absolutely huge of Wade Pinkham.
And every fling live.
So, take us then.
Nothing can miss me.
We're always on the move.
So while we're driving, run, Elaine, run.
Jogging. Yes. Run, Watson. Win again.
Watson is now a world champion.
Or even at work.
Quick. The race has started.
We can't miss a beat because we keep it locked
to the only station
for the Paris Olympics.
Nationwide.
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 90 FM.
Nationwide 90.1, 90.3, 90.5, 90.7 and 90.9 and on YouTube at Nationwide 90 FM Live. Nationwide, the new revolution in media.
How certain are you that you're taking proper care of your pets? How often do you take them to the vet? Just as we need annual checkups with our doctors, most pets need regular checkups too. Owning and caring for a family pet doesn't have to be a difficult or burdensome experience. Nationwide 90 FM has an exciting feature called Pets World that will help you take better care of your pets. Join Nationwide 90 FM every Wednesday at 6:50 a.m. during the program This Morning as we take you into the do's and don'ts of caring for your pets. That's Pets World every Wednesday at 6:50 a.m. during the program This Morning on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
Public opinion.
Stop this foolish about this GLP and PMP business. We are Jamaican.
Different people.
It's not a matter of a JLP or a PMP. I think it's more like where it is that you think you're comfortable, what support you can afford to make the country better.
Different views.
Most entertainers, they're not amenable to management, so the only thing that can ultimately structure them is the court and the prison.
Public opinion. The voice of the people at 6:25 p.m. weekdays during Nationwide at 5. Tune into Nationwide at 6:25 p.m. for Public Opinion, where the people's views matter.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
25 minutes after 7, we head now to the eastern end of the island. We have with us the Member of Parliament for West St. Thomas, James Robertson. Good evening, Mr. Robertson.
How are you?
Doing all right. How are you?
Well, just making sure that I capture all that's happening because the response is going to have to be very specific to exactly where we can make a quick difference to bring back the people's lives.
Yeah. And walk us through the effect of Beryl on the parish of St. Thomas. What have you been hearing?
Well, before I start on St. Thomas, I must tell you as a member of Parliament in Jamaica, I have a concern for everybody. When I see how close the hurricane went in the west, southwest, and that side of the island, I have a concern for my friends on that side. In terms of West St. Thomas, let's go to it.
Yeah.
Very, very early, we had areas locked off, cut off, landslides, trees down, areas like Penline down into Hagley's Gap. So that we expected, and that took place very, very early. So those individuals now are without light, they are wet, and they're locked in. So they're suffering already, and it's difficult in the hills. I'm still watching closely what's happening in Danvers Pen, because a lot of good work was done in the last 48, 72 hours. But we do still have a concern. Any more rainfall, the silting up of that river, Johnson River, Morant River, we could have problems tonight. The citizens, some have moved out in Danvers Pen. And that's where the river breached its banks and the river training system failed some months ago. but a lot of good work, and let me say thanks to the National Work Agency, because if they didn't put their shoulders into it, and the citizens, we'd already had a crisis there. I've been seeing and watching and listening to what has happened in ODPEM. That's when you come from Roselle back into where the sea came in and the water came down into that area. That's just before you go into Morant Bay, the Bustamante Bridge going into Morant Bay, that area on the coast. We see where the water came in, and those citizens were to their shoulders in some places in water. We have areas like Fonthill, huge districts, hundreds of people. They won't be able to get out. The roads are gone. We have Grand Spend. You see, the problem is on an interview like this, any areas of MP you don't highlight, you're going to hear you don't care, you never talk about me, you didn't remember us, you went on the radio and you highlighted others. Grand Spend, that's a difficulty, and that's a technical failure and a challenge that we're having now with the road that goes from Harbourview to Morant Bay that we are also proud of, and they're also proud of it. But there are some technical challenges there.
In terms of drainage?
Drainage, water coming into areas it never did, silting up from overflows, a number of things. Grand Spend is having its difficulties. So in about many spots tonight in West St. Thomas, we have challenges. We do have people who have gone into to shelters. We do have, but I know that the councillors are all working hard. The mayor slept last night at the parish council with a team in case they could not get back in. They're on top of what's happening there. And I can tell you, before light breaks tomorrow, we'll be trying to get help specifically to every single resident to meet their challenges.
Yeah. And have you been able to ascertain exactly how many people are in shelters across the parish or even across your constituency?
Absolutely not, because some of the areas the light has gone out quite some time now and the cell phones are down.
Okay.
We do know all the cell centers, the shelters, the centers, emergency centers. We do know that they were all open and manned. One or two opened a little late, and the shelter managers were scurrying around for keys, but that was resolved very quickly. I must tell you, I'm proud of how they have handled their training and going out there to try and protect life and property.
Sir Robertson, what is the assessment so far in terms of the potential impact of Beryl as it has passed through Western St. Thomas?
It's going to take hundreds of millions to fix back our challenges. Some of them existed before this weather pattern, and if the hurricane, the system had passed any closer to us, it would have been a lot worse. I'm not going to venture a figure at this time. I leave that to the National Work Agency. What I'm going to make sure is that every single challenge and every single failure or difficulty is properly documented and placed in front of the relevant agencies so that nobody gets left behind in terms of the recovery.
And were there any challenges in terms of getting, because I know St. Thomas is plagued with a lot of areas where residents have informal communities where it was probably best for them not to stay during a hurricane. Were there any challenges in terms of getting people to evacuate to the shelters?
No, I believe we've spent consistently a lot of time getting the people to understand. I think we have lost so much life and property over the years that in West St. Thomas, the citizens do not take any risks. You see, the problem is if you hesitate, you can't cross it. And so they know that once they don't get across that waterway or that area of challenge, they are going to have a problem. But just let me say as Member of Parliament, and I would say the completion of the road from Harbourview to Morant Bay and the improvements and completion Morant Bay to Cedar Valley has made a tremendous difference in terms of getting to the people and even what we know we'll be able to handle quickly tomorrow, because we can get in and we can get supplies in and we can get to the people. So in the past, there were too many areas we would not be able to pass. Let me just highlight. I'm getting reports on what took place on the old road. That's the road that would be, let's just say, Bull Bay Police Station, where it used to be, on the old structure, up to, let's say, Cambridge Hill. That area, it has tremendously been challenged. I mean, I see where the road and gullies have become one. I'm seeing pictures that I will be sharing. So I can only tell you that if we did not have the new infrastructure, my concern now would be how to get into those areas with help. It has made and is making a tremendous difference. We have to look at our challenges, we have to look at our successes, and we have to look and see where we can make a difference. I must tell you, Harbour View to Morant Bay to Cedar Valley, that roadway has made a tremendous difference.
Yes.
And you're referring to the Southern Coastal Highway improvements.
Thank you. Yes, correct.
Yeah. All right. We'll keep in contact with you, Mr. Robertson, to find out tomorrow, once the sun comes up, what's the situation.
And just let me indicate, it is still heavy rains up in the hills.
Okay.
And we still have our concerns. Thank you for your time.
Not a problem. Thank you. Yeah. So, as we did indicate to you, the eastern section of the island took a battering, and some of the southern parishes are now also experiencing that situation. We're still taking your calls, 630-937-124, 618-8255. All right, we have ACP Gary McKenzie with us. Good evening, ACP.
Hi, good evening to you. Good evening to our listeners.
All right. What was it like in terms of manning the roads today?
Well, it was pretty challenging in some areas. In some areas, it wasn't too bad. But, of course, the fact that there was water and wind, and there were some obstructions in the form of debris, and a few roads were also impassable. I'm quite sure there are more that we did not see. But that has been the story.
And what about the adherence to the curfew? I know it's lifted now, but I know up to about 4 o'clock I saw people still out and about, walking and traversing the roads in Kingston.
Well, I have to say that in terms of movement on the roads, it was significantly less. And I believe for the most part that there was adherence. We noticed in some communities where persons tend to be out, some of them enjoying the rain, it would appear. A lot of them were spoken to, and even though some of them did not know the extent to which they need to be confined, so they had to be told.
And were there any major incidents on the roads, any issues of cars being stalled or swept away by the waters?
Well, that did not come to our attention, but we had a few crashes. For example, along the east-west, a vehicle actually appeared to have been hydroplaned and slid off the roadway. And there was an incident with a truck as well. No, there were no serious injuries. But we had a few skirmishes.
Skirmishes? What does that mean specifically?
Well, as I said, minor crashes. You know, we are very thankful. I have not gotten any report of any serious or fatal crashes.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, ACP. Appreciate your time.
No problem. You're most welcome.
Have a good one. 630-937-124, 618-8255. The latest advisory from the National Hurricane Center, issued at 8 U.S. time.
That would be 7 o'clock our time, I think.
Right. So 36 minutes ago, it says Hurricane Beryl is about 100 miles west of Kingston. Yeah, or about 215 miles southeast of Grand Cayman. It's still packing winds of 130 miles per hour, and in its present movement, it's going west-northwest or west-northwest at 20 miles per hour. Yeah, so it is moving away from Jamaica. It's now 160 kilometers west of Kingston, Jamaica. And there, if you're on YouTube, you can see the satellite image there. Of course, you're going to see us surrounded by the bands of it because it's a pretty large
It's a
system.
massive system.
Right. But in terms of where the eye is, yeah, that's moving steadily away from the island. Yeah.
So we pray for our brothers and sisters out in the Cayman Islands who are next in the path of the hurricane. And
in fact, hurricane warnings are now in effect for Grand Cayman, Little Cayman, the coast of the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico, and Puerto Costa Maya, and Cancun. Yeah. So that's where Beryl has her sights set on to go next. Of course, the hurricane warning is still in effect for Jamaica. That has not been lifted. Yeah? All right, let's take the break. Come back with more.
If it's in the public's interest, it's the nation's business during Nationwide at 5. The nation's business.
It's the weekend and the youth are taking over the airwaves. Yes, we are the new voices and faces of the Talk Up You radio show. The voice of the Jamaican youth right here on Nationwide 90 FM.
After a busy week of work and school, come and wine with Jamaica's #1 youth radio show.
We're bringing you entertainment, fun facts, and staying true to youth development and advocacy.
Catch the action each and every Saturday as we roll out buzzy segments. What say you?
Youth for chat.
Life skills.
Global Connect.
And Bust the Youth. That's the Talk Up Youth radio show. Saturdays 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM. Talk Up Youth, Miss Effie.
Talk Up Youth. Don't miss it.
I'm Dennis Brooks.
I'm Alan Campbell.
I'm Floyd Green.
And I'm Garth Williams. Catch us on the Jamaican Dads podcast right here on Nationwide 90 FM, Thursdays at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m.
The Jamaican Dads podcast is all about providing men with a healthy, safe, and functional forum to tackle many of the taboo topics that concern our masculinity.
Like everyone else out there, we're dads of varying amounts of experience who come from different backgrounds and often view the world differently.
We're definitely not perfect, but we are all brethren and we're all committed to this piece of rock called Jamaica.
Too often, there are no safe spaces for men to explore the issues which are important to us.
Plus, most of the content out there about parenthood is produced by women, for women. So we think it is important that we be the change we want to see.
Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Jamaican Dads with a Z.
And definitely join us here on Nationwide 90 FM every Thursday at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m. for the Jamaican Dads podcast. It's a revolution in media.
Catch the E-Zone with me, the Stinger Honeybee, alongside
Kareem Boy Ting.
As we turn up the heat in the street.
New show,
new vibe,
same us. Monday to Friday, 3 to 5 p.m.
Right here on Nationwide 90 FM.
We'll bring you entertainment news.
We'll take away your Monday blues.
You don't want to miss a week with us.
We'll talk health.
Well,
jump into the mix.
Or the hot seat.
Don't miss the brain buster.
Or the crazy giveaways.
I mean, is this planet Earth?
Is it?
I don't know. Let me check. Either way, it's got a buzz.
And a bugger thing.
Ow.
Experience Jamaica's Olympic triumphs in Jamaica Gold, a golden spotlight.
Brought to you by Petrojam E1087 gas promotion, serving Jamaica's energy needs.
Usain Bolt won his second gold medal of the Beijing Olympics and Jamaica's 10th overall when he ran a world record of 19.30 seconds to win the men's 200 meters final.
You just experienced a Jamaican Olympic triumph in Jamaica Gold, a golden spotlight.
Brought to you by Petrojam E1087 gas promotion, serving Jamaica's energy needs.
Pull up another party, yeah. I ain't not watching nobody.
Come join us outside with Pepita. Every Saturday from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. right here on Nationwide 90 FM.
Boy, Yafi.
We bring you the views, the news, and we'll be cruising all around Jamaica.
Hey, surprise them with a bang.
Where the hot spots, raindrops, sunshine, we'll be there. Don't diss it, don't miss it. Outside with Pepita.
Siobhan wants to hear Wild Gilbert Bugs, but it's not Wild Gilbert. It's Beryl. Bugs him not play that. All right, that's gonna do it for us this evening. Yes, we hope that you stay safe. Yeah, and of course, we'll do it all over again at 6 tomorrow. You'll have Nationwide this morning. Tomorrow's Thursday, so that's Tana and Saeed.
That's correct.
Yeah. All right. Special thanks to our hardworking producers, Dana Davey, Nora Gay Banton, Sonia Stewart, Michelle McCrae Smith. That's them, right? Yeah. Damian Scarlett, the super producers. Yeah? Big up on yourself. The members of the news and production team, all of you. Cara Powell, Kimon Thompson, big up yourself. George Davis, the old man Cliff Hughes. Him gone home?
He's left the building.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I've been corrected. He was taking a nap.
Oh, God. He
was taking a nap in his office, which is fine. He's worked hard today.
I think somebody was asking if we got any updates from Montego Bay. We did. We touched base with the mayor at least twice. D. Griffiths was asking, what more can we expect here in Montego Bay tonight in regards to the wind and rain? Well, you should get some more rain because the system is headed in that general northwestern direction.
So the Met Service says expect rain and wind into tomorrow morning.
Right? So we hope you keep safe. Yeah? Those of you who have no power, hush. And it must be rough. Hush.
That was one thing I was praying for not to happen at my house.
Oh, you have no power?
No, it's the one thing I am praying for. That please at least let the electricity.
Oh, you're praying that when you go home instead. Yes. Yeah, okay. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
I'm Siobhan Campbell.
Good evening.
Presenting another finalist in the